This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
That were dropped were were fucking meal number 12. Meal number 12 is the only ones that we were able to find and see on the ground. Those are all halal, so it was perfectly halal to eat. So,
okay.
huh? It's a veggie meal.
Okay.
U.S. Senator Bob Menendez and his wife have been charged with obstruction of justice.
Gold
A
bar
new
Menendez?
18-count indictment unsealed on Tuesday adds to corruption charges the New Jersey Democrat already faces. Menendez has pleaded not guilty to earlier charges of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars from businessmen
New York
to
needs
impede
to get
law
this fucking
enforcement
corruption
probes they
shit out of
faced.
it, bro.
Illegally
That whole
acting as an
region,
agent of
Jersey,
the
Long
Egyptian
Island.
government. A trial is already set for May in Manhattan
Yeah.
federal court.
It's awful.
It's bad, is it?
Yeah, because it doesn't affect us as much as it does in the city. But
Right.
basically, like, the whole state gets its policy made in that city. So even though the fucking capital is in Albany,
Yeah, makes sense, right?
yeah, so it should be like more about, the entire state instead of the one place.
In the new indictment, Manhattan federal prosecutors said Menendez's former lawyers told them last year that the senator had not been aware of mortgage or car payments that two businessmen had made for his wife, and that when he found out about the payments, he thought they were loans. Prosecutors now say that Menendez in fact knew the payments were bribes.
Of course he did. It's Gold Bar Menendez, bro.
In a statement, Menendez maintained his innocence and called the obstruction allegations
look at
false,
these guys.
adding that
Wise
prosecutors
guys.
were trying to get him to, quote, give in. Menendez has resisted calls to resign, including from fellow Democrats. He temporarily stepped down as chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee after being charged in September.
He was literally on the Foreign Relations
Good
Committee
afternoon,
and getting
Sam and
gold
Emma.
bars
This is
from
Jonathan.
fucking Egypt, bro.
San Antonio.
John from San Antonio. Long time no hear from. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing fairly well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be on the Letter Hacks YouTube show tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here before there. It's great to see that you're getting around, John, and have other podcasts you like to go on.
Yeah, definitely. More expanded, So,
all right. Well, you're not picking up on my passive aggressiveness.
Okay.
In fact, John's just simply ignoring it.
Yeah, okay, there you go. All right, John. What's tomorrow's? We talking about?
Is this just them going over it?
Yeah. You can speed it up.
I'll speed it up. Yeah.
Speed up their subtitles on. It's just it's just an information dump.
For Tuesday, or are we just talking in general where we are in terms of the polls? And on their face, the polls do not look very good for Joe Biden right now.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, no, I'm going to be talking about congressional elections. So I don't think there's a better case for implementing ranked choice voting than the upcoming California Senate race.
So true.
If I lived in California and they had ranked choice voting, I'd vote for Barbara Lee, since she'll probably finish in fourth place. My second choice would be for Katie Porter. Because we don't have ranked choice voting, and the left and the center left vote would split.
Oh, really?
Barbara Lee first, then Katie
Why?
Porter. Bro, she got like 2% of the vote. She had already dropped out, I think. I don't know anything about her. I just know annoying people say this.
Weird.
Katie Porter has a real chance of finishing in the top two and moving on to the general election. My polling average has centrist Adam Schiff at 28.5%, Republican Steve Garvey at 24.5%, and Porter at 19.5%. So I hope the polls are wrong on this, and Porter finishes in the top two.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a split between Barbara Lee and Katie Porter, right? I mean, and people should understand it is, I think most people know this. It's what is known as a jungle primary. There's not a Republican primary and a Democratic primary. It's just everybody runs against each other and the top two get there. And so Schiff has been elevating Garvey who's the Republican, because Garvey's a lunatic, but there is always going to be a rump Republican Party there. And if Schiff brings Garvey into the general election, it's almost like an automatic win for Schiff.
Yeah, Schiff has spent 44.8 million in ads, and a lot of those ads he's ostensibly attacking Garvey, but he's also bringing to the attention of conservatives that Garvey is running, and he's a conservative out there. And Porter has done the same thing with Eric Early, except she doesn't have near as much money. She's only spent
this guy is like
$18.6 million in ads.
Like Schiff is just better at capitalizing on Trump is spooky. Katie is too rational.
Yeah, she's too soccer mom.
Yeah, she is not going to be up there saying insane shit like Schiff.
Yeah, she's a bit grounded.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of money, APAC money, for Schiff, and also all the
well, Pelosi's behind him. The whole Democratic establishment is behind Schiff. Seems to me.
That's true. I mean, it's a real shame, but I mean, who knows? I mean, the one good thing, if Porter does finish, there was one poll that had him basically even for the general election at 30% piece. So I mean, that's the one good thing that if it does happen. So in the 45th district of California, progressive 26-year-old Cheyenne Hunt is the only candidate in the race that's come out in favor of the ceasefire in Gaza. She's endorsed by the Sunrise Movement in Orange County, and where most of the district is located. Hunt finished in second place in fundraising among Democrats, and has the most money on hand. Biden won this district by 6.1%. The current incumbent is Republican Michelle Steele, who won by 4.8% in 2022. Derek Tran is the leading fundraiser among Democratic running for this seat. In the 16th District of California, progressive Rishi Kumar qualified for the last two general elections against the Democrat Anna Eshoo, who is retiring this year. In 2022, Kumar received 42% of the vote. This year, there are 8 other Democratic candidates. Kumar is in 6th place in fundraising, and it's a wide open race. This district covers from the Bay Area near the Pacific to San Jose. In the 30th District of California, trans candidate G. Maybe a Girl Pudlo finished in second place in 2022 with 29% of the vote against Adam Schiff, who's running for the Senate. There are 11 Democrats running for this seat, and Maybe a Girl is in 8th place in fundraising. This district covers Hollywood, Burbank, Glendale. Hopefully the centrist vote will be divided, and she will make the top 2 again. In the 34th District of California, David Kim has the best shot of being elected among all progressive non-incumbents in the nation. He only lost by 2.4 to another Democrat, Jimmy Gomez, in the 2022 general election. Gomez has a good voting record, but I just think that Kim will be better if he's elected. He was endorsed by a DSA in 2020. Kim is a lock to make the top 2, and hopefully he'll defy the odds and win this district, which is in the downtown Los Angeles area. In the 15th House District of Texas, that runs from the Rio Grande Valley to an area 40 miles due west of San Antonio. In 2022, progressive Michelle Vallejo surprised her opponents when she made the runoff in an area that had been dominated by centrists. She finished 8 points behind Ruben Ramirez in the initial primary and won the runoff.
This guy literally is like a pollster.
She finished 8.5% behind Republican Monica De La Cruz in the swing district that Trump only won by 3 points in 2020. John Rigney, who finished in 3rd place in the primary in 22, is running again. Vallejo is a heavy favorite to win the race. There are now 18 House seats that Biden won in 2020, which Republicans represent right now. One of the newest districts that were drawn is the 2nd District of Alabama, even though the Republican appointed judges on the Supreme Court want to gut the Voting Rights Act. They still gave an additional seat to represent black voters in Alabama, which is the 2nd district in the southeast portion of the state, which is a plus 12 Biden district. So there are 11 Democrats running for that seat. In North Carolina, the Supreme Court approved a Republican gerrymander that moved the previous 7-7 split in the House, which will probably be a 10-4 Republican advantage. Unfortunately, the New York legislature and the Wisconsin Supreme Court did not reciprocate the North Carolina extreme gerrymander.
It's just like
this could be the difference on who controls the House. This is perhaps the closest race for the trifecta or the battle for the White House, Senate, and House in the modern history of American federal elections this fall.
I actually love this shit.
I mean, it's a lot of information. How much of it matters? I don't know. Show me a map. Change it to colors. Give me the big board. Let's go to
Where's
the
my map?
big board.
All right, let's keep moving.
Oh, there's two. These both might be
One
the same
6-year
story,
term in
so-
Washington, Arizona Senator
Huh?
I said these two might be the same story, but her resignation speech is really funny.
Kirsten Sinema, known for her bipartisanship, says she will not run for re-election because her compromising
Bipartisanship.
approach is, quote, not what America wants right now.
Americans still choose to retreat farther to their partisan corners.
That now
Compromising
sets the
approach,
stage for
she
a
said.
two-person race to fill her seat, likely between Democrat candidate Ruben Gallego and Republican frontrunner Carrie Lake.
This now head-to-head
Nazi.
race between likely Ruben Gallego and Carrie Lake is going to be one of the most combative, sensationalistic, angry, meanest races in the entire country.
ASU professor of public affairs Dr. Tom Riley says it's going to be important for both candidates to get the support of those who would have voted for Sinema, with the courting already appearing to start with statements from the major candidates on Tuesday.
What's going to be critical in Arizona is those independent voters because they are unpredictable.
Riley says polling suggests Gallego would have benefited from Sinema being in the race because she would have polled some Republicans. GOP consultant and owner of Marson Media, Barrett Marson, believes Carrie Lake can still win some of those voters back. With a lot of work.
We spent the last couple of years insulting them on the campaign trail. In media appearances, I think that is going to be a very difficult lift for her to bring those moderate Republicans and right-leaning independents back into her fold.
Issues like immigration, the economy, and abortion will be major factors in grabbing those undecided voters.
Each of them are going to have to shed their far extreme views on either side.
One thing is for certain, Arizona will have a new senator next year.
This will be a battleground state. I think it's going to be super close.
And before the general election, there is a Republican primary for Senate. Carrie Lake, who we mentioned there, holds a comfortable lead over Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. But with Sinema not running for re-election, it will be interesting to see how that could potentially impact the Republican primary and if Sinema voters go to Lake or Lamb.
Absolutely. So many floating questions out there, Zach. You know, when we talk about some of these independent voters, how many people...
More than a year of speculation, Kirsten Sinema is out. The independent U.S. senator from Arizona announced today she will not win the election.
Rachel Louise Just from our ABC 15 political team tells us how this will impact the remaining candidates in the race.
Democrat turned independent turned soon to be private citizen.
I believe in my approach, but it's not what America wants right now.
Kirsten Sinema declining to pursue a second term Tuesday, stepping away from what would have been a three-way race.
Sinema, well, first of all, I want to be clear. She was just the puppet for the deeper establishment hooks, right? But she literally killed children. Okay, I want to be very clear about this, right? Because of that child tax credit, right? Naturally, kids are going to go hungry. Right? So she had the option to make sure more kids got fed.
And she didn't.
And she blocked that shit. So when they say compromising, they're talking about how she blocked her own party from getting less legislation up to the fucking board.
Epic.
And it was for kids eating food.
Very cool.
Attacking your opponents on cable news or social media. Compromise is a dirty word. We've arrived at that crossroad, and we chose anger and division.
She's like
She was part of multiple major pieces of legislation in her last 6 years in Washington, including the $1 trillion infrastructure law, the first in decades to change gun laws, and the
she doesn't do
recently
any
failed bipartisan.
interviews, any press, anything like that. She hides from her voters.
Awesome. Sounds like a great person.
Border bill.
I think her decision got easier once the immigration bill that she really put a lot of effort into fell apart. And that wasn't going to be something that she could run on.
Sinema's decision transforms a race that political experts have said could decide who wins the majority in the Senate.
Well, this is obviously going to be a really big help for Ruben Gallego.
February polling from the nonpartisan Noble Predictive found a two-way race is likely to benefit Ruben Gallego over Republican Carrie Lake. Gallego thanked Sinema in a statement shortly after the announcement. Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike
but
are coming
also,
together
again,
and
they're just the face of something deeper.
Carrie Lake in her dangerous positions. I welcome all Arizonans, including Senator Sinema, to join me in that mission. Lake tweeting out, as a journalist, I covered Kirsten Sinema for many years. We may not agree on everything, but I know she shares my love for Arizona. Lake also praising Sinema for what she called the senator's courage to stand tall against the far left. Lake favored in most polling to get the Republican nomination over Sheriff Mark Lamb.
Do you think there's any way that this could potentially be good for Carrie Lake?
Yes, because there were a lot of Republican defections. She can grow, for sure. She's going to have to change the way she speaks about John McCain and about right-leaning independents and moderate Republicans. She got to stop denigrating them.
For ABC 15's political team, I'm Rachel Louise Just.
Several leaders of the Colorado Republican Party, along with Lauren Boebert, are now taking aim at Colorado's Democratic
Talking to the microphone.
I said she can't. She's crazy.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. The party chair, vice chair, and secretary sent a letter to Griswold yesterday saying she did not stand up for election integrity when they say she attempted to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. It's worth noting that was a group of voters, including Republicans, who sued to get Trump off the ballot, and the Supreme Court ruled against that. The court's letter went on to say they are building a grassroots coalition to, quote, hold you accountable for your attack on our election.
Former President Donald Trump with another win under his belt. He has won the Republican presidential caucuses in North Dakota. That adds to his string of victories as he heads into today's all-important Super Tuesday contest. The former president grabbed this win just hours before the biggest day of the presidential primary season so far. Super Tuesday. Millions of voters from dozens of states and one territory into the polls starting just hours from now.
Yeah, now this comes just one day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against Colorado's efforts to try to get former President Donald Trump removed from the ballot. So Atlanta News First, Brooks Baptiste joins us now with how this will impact the election moving forward.
Hey, good morning to you, Ryan and Rick. So the results of today's primary election are a strong indicator.
Nice little, they got a whole screen and everything for the local
for each
outlet.
political
Well, this is
party.
probably
And
just a
that's
weather
because Super
screen,
Tuesday
right?
is when the largest number of states hold their primary elections and caucuses. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and former President Donald Trump are trying to clinch the Republican nomination. And so far, the former president has won all but one of the GOP nominating contests. That was in the District of Columbia. Well, Haley making history Sunday, becoming the first woman to win any Republican primary. But on the eve of Super Tuesday, the Supreme Court ruled states must keep Trump's name on the ballot. This overturned a decision from Colorado's top court that determined Trump wasn't eligible for the presidency because of his conduct surrounding the January 6th storming of the U.S. Capitol back in 2021.
You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that very well. And I really do believe that will be a unifying factor.
I'm disappointed. It should be up to Colorado or any state to determine whether oath-breaking insurrectionists go onto our ballots.
So President Joe Biden is expected to go up against whoever wins the GOP seat on the November ballot. Georgians cast their votes. President Biden and former President Donald Trump.
I love how they still like mysterious, like who could it be? Who could it be? Keep watching us. Stay tuned.
Tuesday, but early voting still underway for now. Rick.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday appealed to voters who supported Nikki Haley in the Republican primaries to back him, a Democrat, after she quit the race, setting up a historic rematch between Biden and Donald Trump in the November election.
Anything so conclusive.
In a statement, Biden said Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley supporters, adding, quote, "I want to be clear. There is a place for them in my campaign."
Chaos follows him.
Haley, who served as Trump's UN ambassador, had tried to distance herself from her former boss without alienating too many Republican voters. Biden said Haley was willing to speak the truth about Trump and acknowledge, quote, his inability to see right from wrong, adding, quote, "I know there is a lot we won't agree on, but on the fundamental issues of preserving American democracy, on standing up for the rule of law, on treating each other with decency and dignity and respect, on preserving NATO and standing up to America's adversaries, I hope and believe we can find common ground."
The President of the United States.
Biden is hoping to use his State of the Union address to Congress on Thursday to draw a stark contrast between himself and Trump and their vision for America. He then heads to the battleground states of Pennsylvania on
may face protests at the polls during the Georgia primary. Some local groups opposed to the Biden administration's support of Israel are urging Democratic voters.
Oh God, PSL mentioned.
Who mentioned PSL? Where?
They're saying voters are planning to protest Biden in Georgia for his stances on Palestine.
I mean,
who do you think is going to be there?
No, I mean I mean, like that guy's clear. Like they're Muslims and stuff. They did a great job, and who cares if PSL supported it? They did a good.
No,
thing.
I agree. I'm just sort of
instead of harassing like AOC and shit, they actually voted and
doing dumb shit.
Wielded their power.
Yeah. Cool.
Epic.
To leave their ballots blank. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live at the state capitol with more. Deidre?
Now, the coalition saying today during a news conference that they do want Georgia Democrats to go to the polls. They say they want them to get their ballot, but instead of voting for President Biden, they say they want them to turn those ballots back in blank. They don't want them to cast their ballots for any candidate. They said they are out to send a strong message with this decision.
we are calling thousands of voters across Georgia every single day to talk to them. We are on a very tight timeline, and so we're all going all in on this.
The Georgia group's Leave It Blank primary campaign followed similar efforts in Michigan, where nearly 100,000 Democrats voted uncommitted to President
But I'm
Biden's
trying to
re-election.
figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Due to the war in Gaza.
It's the president who can fix this problem by demanding a ceasefire.
This coalition of local faith leaders, activists, and political organizations is urging Democratic voters to protest the Biden administration's support for Israel
Fair
by
enough.
leaving their ballot blank on election day.
This is honestly how you do
Senator
it.
Shane said he
This is how
understands
you
the
get him
groups'
to act.
concerns,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
knows the impact such efforts
Like
could have
basically
on the
every
president's
state
chances to score
participated in this.
Great. That we might actually see something happen.
Yeah, there'll be maps in here somewhere.
election come November.
But when it comes to November,
But Minnesota obviously did the best because people don't. I keep telling y'all. The reason when I knew Minnesota was definitely the sleeper, you know, when the moment I realized it's when we watched that Falun Gong media thing and they were talking about how it's a communist invasion.
Yes.
Like it was like a great replacement theory / communist invasion from the Somali immigrants in Minnesota. And then I was like, Minnesota's on some shit. Falun Gong is this scared of them.
Yeah.
What have you done?
It's YouTube.
right now will be President Biden.
The coalition accuses the president of enabling genocide in Gaza and is urging voters across the state to visit their polling place, request the Democratic primary ballot, and submit it without choosing President Biden or any of the other Democratic candidates on March 12th.
And Democratic leaders should go to President Biden and say, look, you got to stop this genocide. You got to stop this madness because there are voters in Georgia who, on principle, are not going to vote for you if this violence continues.
And Georgia Democratic Party Chair Congresswoman Nikema Williams weighing in, saying President Biden has expressed concerns over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and continues to negotiate a long-term ceasefire to bring stability to the region.
Just
She added that
recognize
Democrats will
Palestine.
continue to show up in every corner of every county, reminding
like Michigan broke records because you can always do the uncommitted stuff in Michigan. Like Michigan always had that uncommitted option. That's where it starts in the protest chain, right? So that like it was a record. Like so because it's like setting records for the percentages of who's getting nothing, you know, and it's becoming in second place in a primary in a lot of these states. I would say that most of it is Palestine related.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people just wouldn't vote if they were going to just enter a blank ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot of shit to like go through to protest. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what's the point? Unless you have something to actually protest.
Virginia votes on Super Tuesday. Today, voters in more than a dozen states headed to the polls to take part in the biggest day of the 2024 primary calendar. We are breaking down what's at stake as those results come in. Plus,
as a mother, I live with this pain every day.
Okay,
the fight against fentanyl. How two local
we don't
mothers
need
are
to hear
trying
about
to change
this.
penalties on drug dealers.
No.
And March 18 is now at 11 begins with your super.
Have you seen the interview where he's like he's thought because he's gonna say that because he literally did the First Step Act, right? And they ask him, it's like, oh, so this woman you released, you would execute her under this act. And he's like, what? He just totally stumbled up in his own rhetoric.
That's hilarious.
Epic.
Super Tuesday results. Today,
Very
voters in 14 states, including Virginia and North Carolina, made their voices heard by picking who they want to see on the ballot this November. Thanks so much for staying up. I'm Dana Smith. The polls closed a few hours ago. 13 News Now has been keeping a close eye on each race. So let's start with the only races we're following in Virginia, the Democratic and Republican presidential primaries.
Remember how I
As
said
expected, President Joe Biden won the Democratic primary.
We just criticized the show the other day, and I said I would just have them walk over and have the camera follow them instead of like the snap and then have the guy come over like it was a weird snapshot. There you go. That's how you do it.
Much better.
We've got 86.9% of the state of Virginia reporting right now. And
Okay. My internet.
If you put it in
I
cinema
am
mode.
I am lagging like a motherfucker.
Put it in cinema mode. It works better.
He's in the lead with 88.7%. And we can break this down to Hampton Roads, taking a look at how these votes are coming in. We take a look at Virginia Beach, 97% coming in here, 90% going for Biden. We're also tracking the Republican side of things. Of course, no surprise, former President Donald Trump defeated Nikki Haley, the former South Carolina governor. It's the same story in North Carolina. The presidential primary, though, isn't the only race we're following there. The Tar Heel state will also elect a new governor. Let's take a look at these results coming in from the North Carolina governor side of things. As you can see, first up, Democrat Josh Stein won the Democratic nomination. This is with 100% of Dare County reporting. But if we take a look at the whole state, 86% reporting, 69% going for Stein. Now, he will face off against Mark Robinson. He's in the lead right now. This is in
That's basically what it looks like, yeah.
Carroll County, 100% coming in, but taking a look at the entire state, 85% in, 65% going for Robinson. So he will secure the Republican nomination. He's currently the lieutenant governor, so that race is up for grabs. Let's take a look here.
That's the
Rachel
crazy
Hines,
one.
This is again, we're going to look at the entire.
Yeah, UNC. Wait, here.
Basketball team.
No.
Basketball team.
I think they're everything, are they not? Hold on. Where the fuck there? Come on, you stupid fucking camera.
Bro, maybe if you turned off the virtual background, it could see.
No, it's funny. It's a Bill Clinton statue. It looks better at cinema.
You see that
entire state of North Carolina, 77% reporting, 69% going for her. So she's secured the Democratic nomination. Taking a look at the Republican side of things here. This race is still a little too early to call, but Weatherman is leading. We do have some other names out here. O'Neill, Ballard.
Weatherman.
But again, right now, Weatherman's in the lead, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on this race. Let's talk about the race for Attorney General. This is, again, North Carolina. So on the Democrat side of things, Jeff Jackson, the projected winner, he is leading now with 54%. This is with 82% coming in. He's going to face off against, for the GOP, uncontested. We've got Bishop running. And finally, the District 1 congressional seat also up for grabs. Let's take a look at that. So this race, pretty close. This is with 89% of North Carolina reporting it.
This is I mean, make sure you hit the next video when you pull it up, because don't put what I sent you on screen.
We are back now to dive into the trends we're seeing here in North Carolina on this Super Tuesday.
Michael Perchik been keeping an eye on all of them. Michael, what do you see?
Steve Lauren, a comfortable projected win for Donald Trump in a state he's carried twice, but Nikki Haley has remained really firm that 22 to 23% range. That is a figure worthy of some attention. Are those voters going to support Trump in November, flip to Biden, or sit out entirely? On the Democratic side, any concerns of a sizable protest vote of no preference stemming from pressure over the...
They got fucked.
That's one of the best vehicle kills with crew inside I think I've ever seen, like ever of all time. That might be one of the best ever of all time. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
Ongoing war in Gaza has really not materialized, while the no preference totals have slowly tipped up over the past few hours, now topping 80,000 total votes. That still makes up just about 12.5% of ballots. That is nowhere near what we saw in 2012. In that race, Barack Obama was running for re-election.
It's okay. It's trying its best.
Within 200,000 voters cast a no preference vote, making up about...
Do you see where the buffer bar is? It's right here.
Yeah, it happens.
21% of the ballots then. So right now at this juncture, it does not appear it will come anywhere close to approaching that figure. Some good news for Team Biden. And down the ballot we go. NC6 looks likely to be heading to a runoff. Addison McDowell currently with a slight lead over former Congressman Mark Walker, who abandoned his run for governor to seek this office during this cycle. Over in NC8, Mark Harris just above the 30% plus one vote threshold right now. The question is, just looking at those unofficial results, once they do become official, Harris does appear to be moving on in District 8. If you recall, Harris actually won the congressional election back in 2018. The State Board of Elections.
My Wi-Fi is Australian. Is the problem?
My internet's fine. It's my
new
computer
election
that
over
sucks.
election. Fraud. However, Harris himself personally not charged in that case. As we have covered extensively all evening, NC13 on the Republican side almost guaranteed to head to a runoff. Kelly Daughtry had a late surge.
Are you
but this
honking
newest
at
batch
me?
probably is going to prevent her
Are you
from getting
honking
that
at me?
30%. Right now, it looks like Brad Knott, but a 1,500 vote advantage over Fred Von Cannon. We're going to be tracking that as those final precincts coming in. Steve Lauren, we've been discussing this one all night. A major upset brewing for
Bro,
state
tie
superintendent
sticking
on
out the bottom of the
Republican side.
shirt.
Michelle
Fashion
Mara
faux pas.
looks like she is going to defeat incumbent Catherine Schutt. She's up about 35,000 votes. Mara ran for Wake County School
Board just 2 years ago. She lost by about 20 votes in that nonpartisan race. True, a sizable fundraising advantage over Morrow, but it's Morrow who has that lead right now. 2 final points: Republican auditor, Republican lieutenant governor do appear they likely will be heading to a runoff as well. As a reminder, the second place finisher needs to call for a runoff. It is not automatic here in North Carolina. We'll have to see if those candidates choose to do so.
That was impressive. That was an impressive
It was
read.
also 1.25 speed.
Oh, I know
Super
that.
Tuesday
I know
marks
that.
a pivotal point in primary season.
Yeah, the primary showdowns cover about 1/3 of the nation, taking the pulse of America in the run for the White House. And that's why we are going to bring in the experts tonight with 10 on your side's Andy Fox joining us alongside Dr. Ben Malusky from ODU to give you a look at how things turned out tonight, guys.
Yeah, Leonard, Tom, we got a lot of ground to cover. With everyone in frame, and then cuts to a close-up. That's not a bad way to do it either.
That's fine.
One, why is North Carolina going to be such a pivotal state for Joe Biden and probably also for Republicans? North Carolina is going to have a big election.
So we look at it in terms of right a
match.
little and then pan left. Hopefully with this punch in, he's repositioning the camera if he's a good fucking studio manager.
Up that set right here. Robertson, a little bit of a lightning rod. He's made some comments which have attracted a lot of attention. The redistricting in the state has kind of changed around a little bit of the districts for the congressional seats. So a lot of money, a lot of attention going to be flowing into North Carolina.
And a lot of them could go Republican.
Very much.
Exit polls show that 60% of Nikki Haley's support voted against Donald Trump. What does that mean? 60%.
When we dive
I don't
into-
like Trump. I'm voting for you.
Yes, it was very much. She had an issue of attracting those voters, right? So it was of her voters in California, Virginia, North Carolina, 60+% were saying they were voting against Donald Trump, and only 30-odd% were voting for her. That's a hard hill to climb and a likability issue.
Yeah, and it's also an important thing for Donald Trump too. He's got to figure out how to get them back, right?
Right.
Okay, so I was talking with Wyatt Young. He's one of our fine photographers. He said, "Hey, Andy, how come Chris Christie got 3,207 votes and he hasn't been in the race?"
Showing the toes, there's a mistake here. Guy, it's this, the Chris Como where he's like, I don't like this, the chair, it's like, it looks good with you, but I'm too muscly and jacked to fit in the chair. That's how I feel. Like this one guy, it's like in Lord of the Rings, how they do.
He literally cannot fit in the chair. That's why he's sitting like that.
I was gonna say. He's got like a real tiny chair, and the other guy's got a real big chair, and he's just closer. It's a forced perspective thing.
Yeah.
Is for months. How come those people didn't vote for Nikki
Don't
Haley?
you understand? These polls got him on the edge of his seat.
She's in. They didn't vote for her.
It's a little bit of a protest vote when you think about it, and it goes very much back to the exit polling we just talked
Hate
about.
the tie.
Chris Christie from the start attacked Donald Trump, and for those people, they saw that as
How do we feel about the
protest
tie?
vote, and we're going to continue.
But it's not impressive that she didn't
vote
vote
I'll allow
anti-Trump vote.
It was a hard
Need
thing
a
for her to do,
doctor.
because from very
He's
early
a
in the
professor,
campaign,
I'll
essentially
allow
not
it.
attacking
Sure.
Donald Trump, taking almost a loyalty pledge, raising her hand on stage, and then shifting once the other candidates dropped
many
out to a
flags.
full-on attack on Donald Trump.
Next question. Who didn't turn out today?
So we're looking at independents, which rightly so, always don't really turn out in primary elections. We need to dive more into the exit polls to find out about more of the suburban voters and dive into it by race.
But
Okay, well,
I'm
here's an
trying to
exit poll
figure
to
out
dive into.
how
Edison
we get
Research
them to
shows
have
her
Pokemon
support
go
is
to
not
the
growing.
polls.
That is a problem. She's basically hit a wall. Your response?
And we've seen that across the board. For the most
love
part, trying to
this
break
guy.
more than
I love
30+% of the
this
vote
guy.
in any singular state. It just hasn't happened for her. So the pathway forward from tonight really is non-existent.
Yeah, and here's something else. Listen to this. Trump beat Haley with hardcore independents, 49-45, and college-educated voters, 51-45. That's been the hit on Trump, that he's not getting the educated
This guy
voters.
is
He did today.
so Syracuse University trained.
You're telling
telling
me
you.
that Donald Trump is not getting educated voters? Whoa!
This guy
no
totally went to
way.
Syracuse University. He's way too ESPN about this to not have gone there.
Look him up.
Right. But that's of GOP voters, right? So moving forward to November, can he pick up those college-educated 4 years or more voters outside of just those in the GOP primary?
Dr. Ben, you're the best. It's been a very
Why would anybody with an education listen to Trump and be like, "That's my guy"?
Well,
interesting election. Thank you very much.
they're also educated and racist.
True.
They go to the polls and they say, "Am I going to vote for a rapist? Is that too far for me?" Nope.
5. No surprises in North Carolina's top race for who will be fighting for the state's next governor. Attorney General Josh Stein took the Democratic nod. Republican voters chose current Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson to represent them in November. Both candidates wasted no time making the case why they are the best man for the job following their victory.
Robinson says that he is more in tune with the problems that North Carolina
has so many
face than his
controversies.
challenge.
Like honestly,
honky.
We could fill a soundboard with just this guy's quotes. I hope that's why I put him a bunch on here. I figured somebody will at least show some controversy. If not, Pod Save America gave a breakdown of his best quotes, but it's just them reading them.
That's disappointing.
Sure. He's trying to use that to sway voters who remain on the fence or maybe who have been turned off by his controversial.
He looks like an ice cream cone.
His controversial, bro. Is that his wife back there?
She chunky too.
Conspiracy-based comments. Robinson is also
They own a Suburban.
diving deep into his working class history to try to relate more to voters.
The suburban voters that burn crosses.
Out there that probably know somebody from Canton or Asheboro where their industry was shut down and their jobs were lost. We're here for you.
He's
We
sweating like a
understand you.
motherfucker.
You see, I have an opponent that doesn't understand any of that. I have an opponent who doesn't understand what it's like to be at work and have the boss man come and take you to a room and sit you down and tell you, we're moving this plant to Mexico and there's nothing you can do about it. And now you have to go find another job.
But you do?
His focus going forward is laying out how he wants to reform education.
That's just a shirt.
Robinson said,
That was just a shirt.
The agenda from the classroom.
On the Democratic ticket, the gubernatorial candidate says the state is, quote, at a crossroads. During his victory speech, Josh Stein highlighted some of the things that current Governor Roy Cooper has worked to get done, including expanding Medicaid coverage. The two are aligned on many key issues. Stein also pledged to veto any further attempts to restrict contraception, IVF, or abortions. The Attorney General said that his campaign would be forward-looking and inclusive, saying that his Republican opponent focuses too much on culture wars.
True.
But we must be clear-eyed about the stakes of this election. We're at a crossroads, and the choice before us, two competing visions for North Carolina. Mark Robinson's vision is bleak and divisive.
Mark Robinson is totally going to win. He's already the
North Carolina's governor's race
He's
is expected to be the most closely watched and possibly most expensive in the country this year. Stein will start the next phase of his campaign today, heading to Durham for his first event after winning the primary.
I don't know that. He did win.
Which,
He did win.
winning the Democratic primary, who will replace him in the state attorney general's office. In the Democratic Attorney General primary, current 14th District Congressman and former state Senator Jeff Jackson won his party's nomination. He'll now face Republican Congressman Dan Bishop come November. Bishop ran unopposed in the Republican primary.
A race many of us are watching is State House District 105, which was won by Democrat Nicole Sidman. If you're unfamiliar with that district, it's a newly drawn district currently represented by Republican Tricia Cotham, who switched parties last year. The state's Democratic Party called her switch a betrayal, and now
You replaying something? I'm checking something on my monitor.
No, he looks like a race swapped Kim Jong-un.
they're looking to set things right for Democrat voters who originally elected her to office. Mecklenburg County Democrats predict the race between Cotham and Sidman will run up to $1 million on either side. And while one Cotham carries on, another will end their term. In a surprising upset, longtime Mecklenburg County Commissioner Pat Cotham, mother of Tricia, lost her bid for re-election.
This is the guy who does this is what he look like black doing a video.
I can't hear you because I'm watching something on this monitor.
As an at-large member. The top three candidates won, with Cotham trailing behind at 18%. It's a rare defeat for an incumbent. She's held that seat since 2012. Mecklenburg's board is made up of 9 total commissioners, 3 at-large, and then 6 districts.
Okay.
November is looking to be a repeat.
There is more to say about
I
Mark
got it.
Robinson,
They're going to read off his best quotes so you understand how crazy this guy is.
Race, Democrat Josh Stein will face Republican Mark Robinson. You haven't heard of him before. He's the lieutenant governor right now. He's a Hitler-quoting Holocaust denier who is being gay a filthy abomination that marks the end of civilization, and said that karma for abortion. Trump has called Robinson Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. Sounds like a nice guy.
What should we do? A little greatest hits of Mark Robinson oppo?
You got some others? Let's keep going.
So I want to flag that first one, the Martin Luther King comparison, because Robinson likes to attack Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement. So he's criticizing him there, Trump. Robinson voiced support for passing, quote, a bill saying you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason, called abortion murder and genocide. He refused to protecting IVF. He called public school teachers, quote, wicked people. You mentioned the Holocaust, calling it hogwash. You got really mad on Facebook about the movie Black Panther.
Yeah, I was very upset about Black Panther.
And said the character was created, quote, created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by satanic Marxists.
Oh
and
my God.
Pull the shekels out of your Schwartz pockets.
Yeah.
Did I do that right?
Yeah, that's it's an epithet for Black people. So yeah, it's you know, Black Panther was a conspiracy by Jews to trick Black people into, I guess, having a good time.
Oh my God.
The hogwash quote, the first part of that, because I saw the whole Facebook post. It's from March of 2018.
Man, spent a lot of time on Facebook in
Oh my
2016.
God.
A lot of time.
Wow.
It's, quote, this foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash.
He also
that's the post.
He also referred
to
to
the post, just in case you think libs are just exaggerating.
Yeah, no. In context, these are all worse.
He also referred to the
Christ.
students at Marjory Stone Douglas as spoiled, angry, know-it-all children, silly little immature media prostitutes. That's a child prostitute.
Jesus
And
Christ.
this one, it's listen, it's a very serious and terrible situation.
That's fucking awesome.
But after the Boko Haram kidnappings in 2014, he posted on Facebook. It's not funny. George Soros stole them girls. I can't.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. The folks at the DGA wanted us to remind you to text NC to 30201.
Going through this.
Hey, did you know that we're an NGO trying to fund journalists in conflict zones and places with lower press freedoms? So right now, for a limited time only, while we're raising money to actually start our nonprofit, because it costs money to do the paperwork, we're putting anyone who wants to donate $1, $10, doesn't matter, on the Patreon. You can get your name at the bottom of the screen. And eventually, when we start the nonprofit, there'll be like other benefits that will change when that starts. So get your dollar in now, because eventually we're not going to have room for everyone there. You know what I'm saying? Here's Junk to tell you more.
We might have people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
The Republican nominee for governor in North Carolina, but we also have Roy Cooper standing by.
We do indeed. I mean, is it too late to get Herschel Walker back in there? Because we might actually have a better chance. All right, Governor Cooper, let me introduce you. And I just want to just start there, because there is a history of Republicans nominating Trump-endorsed candidates. You could go through them all. Herschel Walker, Blake Masters in Arizona, Adam Laxalt in Nevada, Dr. Oz Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania. All of them lost. And they all lost along the same formula of being too extreme for even Republican-leading independents, et cetera. Is the campaign already written? Have you guys already started cutting the commercials for this soon-to-be nominee and apparent Holocaust denier?
Well, Mark Robinson is the most extreme candidate that we've seen in North Carolina history. And remember, Jesse Helms came from North Carolina. I served as chair of the Democratic Governors Association in 2022, and Mark Robinson is the kind of candidate that MAGA has brought forward. I heard just before that the long list of things, there's a lot more, calling LGBTQ people filth, saying that he would shoot government officials with his assault weapon if they got too big for their britches, saying men should lead, not women. This is issue after issue where he shows the most extreme position. And we're about to nominate Josh Stein, who is our current attorney general, who is stood up to Big Pharma, has the integrity and the grit to lead a closely divided state. We have to work in a bipartisan way in North Carolina to get things done, like expanding Medicaid, like North Carolina just did. And Josh Stein is the guy we're going to push hard. But you look at Trump and Robinson, it's double trouble at the top of the ticket in North Carolina. I think that's going to bring a lot of people out to vote. Reproductive freedom for women is going to be a strong issue in North Carolina at this time. Healthcare, with Medicaid just expanding and hundreds of thousands of people getting healthcare. Donald Trump has just said he wants to rip it away. He wants to gut the Affordable Care Act. We have to be really careful about that, because this is one of the few promises that he actually tried to keep when he was president. The Affordable Care Act was in significant danger then, and he will do it again.
And we know that one of the races that's also happening is the race to potentially replace the former Democrat.
Also because he can't run again, so he's just going to do whatever the fuck he wants.
What do we think about MSNBC's coverage compared to the local outlets here?
Local is almost always better.
I liked that one guy who couldn't stay in his chair. He was a good interviewer of the election professor guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's just go to Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment in light of the Michigan protest uncommitted vote on Democratic voters or House members who say they're not committed to Biden?
President Biden continues to win a substantial number of delegates on his way toward the August Democratic Convention. And it's my expectation that he will have strong Democratic support coming out of that convention heading into the November elections. Everything we care about, including reproductive freedom, Social Security, Medicare, gun safety, the climate crisis, and democracy, will be on the ballot in November.
Hakeem, I really need you to put democracy at the first, right there.
First. Yeah.
And democracy, yeah.
And also has a vision for how to make life better for the American
people. Bro,
you
you are like Nancy Pelosi was more entertaining to watch than you, bro.
That uncommitted movement shifts its focus to Minnesota, where more than 100,000 Arab Americans live, especially in the Minneapolis district represented by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, a frequent critic of Israel. And look here, those organizers those numbers.
Frequent critic of Israel.
President Biden. We heard from one Minnesota
Who's
Democrat
this? Who's doing? Is this a local outlet? This is NBC. Fuck off, bro. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's NBC.
Biden on how he's conducted the war in Gaza.
You hadn't seen that uncommitted movement, who would you be voting for otherwise?
Probably would have stayed home.
All right, for more now on that Arab American
There you
vote
go.
in Minnesota.
That lady would have definitely not have come out if she wasn't going to vote uncommitted, right?
That's kind of interesting, yeah. That's very interesting. Giving people an option.
There's always these weird old ladies at the Palestine protest who were like, part of like the freedom movements in the 60s against Vietnam.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get like roped into with Code Pink because Code Pink preys on them and stuff.
Yeah, because they don't have defenses against the information warfare. It's like in Barbie.
Reporting live for us. Jesse, we know this is going to be a close election, right? At least if you're looking at the polls. Every group matters, and so do Arab Americans. We saw their importance and the power they have in Michigan. Talk to us about what happens in Minnesota.
Yeah, and Tom, just to take you live inside here, we're at a polling location in Minneapolis. Voting still going on here for
I
about
thought it was an airplane hangar to shoot missiles. This is literally how they ramp up voting so much, and this is what it looks like. All right, there's some tables. Every booth is open. Have fun.
Asking about is something that we saw playing out in Michigan, and again, it's something that's getting attention here in Minnesota.
Oh my God, empty parking lot.
Are not just those who identify as Arab or
Oh
Muslim
man,
American.
he's trying. He's like, all right, I'm going to put maximum effort into this stand-up.
Hey, look at this. Otherwise, she would not have been voting. Probably. We heard from someone else today who saw this as a chance to speak out in protest of the president's policies as it relates to Gaza, without it impacting how he can perform against the Republican Party, which of course would come up in the fall.
But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
He decided to vote for President Biden because he was concerned that the showing of uncommitted votes here could wind up hurting the president's chances in the fall. So people are considering this from various perspectives, and it's something that we're watching here tonight. We've spoken with someone who helped organize efforts here. He said this is something that he believes that hundreds of thousands of people by tonight, that's his estimate, hundreds of thousands of people he believes will have been touched in some way by phone, by email, by in-person conversation about the uncommitted effort. And he said that he's spoken with people who are asking him how to vote, who have never voted before, who are looking to vote now because of what's going on in Gaza. So this appears to be something that is motivating at least some people explicitly.
Yeah, next
we really need a fucking countdown timer.
I guess so.
Oh my God!
It's like CS:GO surfing in the bottom of the video.
Look at how there's like it's literally this is like the Super Bowl for like them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro!
To come to the polls, Tom.
Not only that, it could actually motivate and
this is where they get the money.
Policy, if you really think about it.
I gotta say,
I
love this though. I love the three screens separated for no fucking reason at all, other than to just when you cut back to have a pull out shot like that looks fucking awesome.
Shot. Yeah. And he's looking straight at the middle screen. He's probably just looking at a camera.
For all we know, this is all just a green screen that we're looking at.
True.
I can't
In
tell. It
Michigan,
looks
that
like they had
movement, they
depth,
only had a
though.
few weeks to really get together.
Yeah,
They
it
had about
looks real.
$200,000 to be
I don't
organized
know.
and to spend. In
Hard to
Minnesota,
tell.
did this build out of what they saw in Michigan, or were they organizing for
Bro,
more
they cut
weeks?
back to him and
We've
he's
had
got
so
all the
much of
shit in the
war lately, we've been
background.
covering
Wow,
war so much
NBC.
since it started. Were they more organized in Michigan? Or
They
you feel
gotta
less
have
organized?
actual panels there that they bought.
It
just
seems
for
like this is a
Yeah.
similar kind of pseudo last minute
Like
grassroots effort, Tom.
like
Not a lot of
advertising
funding.
screens at the movies. They're just what are they called? Monolith with screens in the middle.
Not any big advertising. In fact, one of the people who said she was voting
TikTok.
uncommitted said that she heard about it on the national news, Tom.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news
Thanks
and
for
top stories on the
watching. Stay updated.
Just there. Joining us
Hi.
tonight, GOP strategist Brian McClung and former DFL State Senator Jeff Hayden. Let's dive just a little bit briefly into that uncommitted. Are you surprised by the number, and what does it tell you?
You know, I'm not. There was
Oh,
7
okay.
members of the legislature
This
that said
guy,
that they were
he's
gonna
got
vote.
he's got his tippy toes. He's up on the stool.
Mm-hmm. Oh look, he's got his "I voted" sticker. Yay,
Yeah,
good for him.
this guy's. Is he the guest? If he's the guest, he's like
There were a couple of city
great.
councilors, so I am not
Coming and
surprised at
upstaging
all.
them.
that,
That's what you want to
folks are
do.
really, really concerned about the war in Gaza, and I think that's what you're seeing in the numbers today.
And I know we'll talk about that in a little bit too.
Yeah, but on the Republican side, you said Nikki Haley may be coming in a little bit.
He's
stronger
literally
than
like,
Minnesota than you anticipated.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better showing. I was pegging Nikki Haley's number at around 25.
You were pegging who?
Minnesota.
Pegging. Mm.
And so she did better than that.
Oh, they
but
all have their
ultimately,
bootlicker
it doesn't matter,
stickers.
right? She is getting swept in every
Nice.
state except for Vermont. And I would anticipate that her campaign probably ends tonight. You know, Nikki Haley has not announced.
I always
that she
take
would
a
do
sticker
an-
and then I just put it in the washing machine with my pants. Like without
People-
fail every time because I do not care.
That's so
I'm always
funny.
like, oh, I could probably like do a funny post with this. Nah.
When I was in LA, I went to the Peterson Auto Museum, and they give you a sticker to show that you've paid. And there's like the poles outside are covered in these stickers. That's what people should do. Find like a street post next to a voting polling area or something. Do they change, or are they generally the same place every time?
Mine has changed. Like it's in the same area, but it's changed slightly to a different place.
Okay. Or like maybe like a central pole or something where enough times people have put stickers on this pole that people are like, oh, that's the sticker pole. And everyone goes and puts their "I voted" sticker
That
on
with
the
like
pole.
a grave or something, I think.
Yeah.
I think they do. They go put stickers on a grave or something.
Mm.
I don't know.
What as a troll to be like, oh, dead people
it's
vote.
like something about like who the grave is.
Okay. Interesting.
an election night event tonight, like she has after the other major primary
Cool.
nights. And so that to me signals that instead she's going to wait until tomorrow. And
Great.
Well, here in Minnesota, polls are closed and the results are in for the 2024 presidential primary races.
Donald Trump once again coming out on top of the Republican ticket. He's
lot
walking
there.
away with 66% of the
the
vote so
the
far,
overall
compared to Nikki
score
Haley's
between Trump and Haley is so funny.
I'm surprised Vivek even got any. Chris Christie too.
1%.
32%.
than Junk.
Democrats also bringing in a general election.
Not even there.
Look at that.
Chunk
Committed,
got beaten.
20%.
They all got beaten by uncommitted.
Yeah,
Suck shit.
that's how it's been going.
Hilarious.
Rematch one step closer with President Biden walking away with 69% of the votes compared to Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips.
And lastly, the Legal Marijuana Now Party of Minnesota hasn't called their race, but Crystal Gable is
Vermin
currently-
Supreme. Woo!
Hell yeah, bro. Legal Marijuana Now Party.
Its results.
That's
We do have
epic.
team coverage across our area tonight. We begin with Rachel Mantos. You spoke
I gotta
with
message
Republican
him and
voters in
ask him
Austin
to do
tonight
a
about their
show.
top choice. What are they saying tonight, Rachel?
Yeah, Maisie and Robin, it didn't matter which Republicans I spoke with in Austin today.
Especially right now is probably when we should do it. Or
Oh,
when we would have the highest likelihood.
Almost everyone said that
Use the 5th gen account.
they were casting their votes in favor of former President Donald Trump. Local Republicans know exactly which candidate they believe in and who they want to see once again in the White House.
There's so many things that the other party has gone too far to the left, and some of it breaks my heart.
A historically blue area, Donald Trump helped flip Mower County red when he first ran in 2016.
For the Republican side, Moore County was very historic in the last couple of presidential elections and how we voted compared to prior years.
Now in the 2024 primary, voters are turning out to support him once again.
I
Cringe.
love it how
care
lonely
about
the
the
polls
people.
are when they go to find the they have to go to the remote places to find the fringe voters.
Yeah, the misinformed old white women.
He was good at the border. That was very important to
I
him.
don't
Each
have
of their
it
votes
on
adding
my
up to bring
computer, I
Trump
only
just
have it
one
on my
step
phone.
closer to the GOP
Yeah.
presidential nomination.
The Instagram account.
So far, Trump has won 11 of the
I
Super
don't use
Tuesday
Instagram
states
on the
where a winner
computer.
has been declared,
Fair
including in Minnesota, making him the state's official Republican frontrunner. Maisie and Robin.
All right, thank you, Rachel. And checking in now with a Democratic ticket, we're going to turn it over to reporter Jordan Sansom, who spoke with voters today here in Rochester as well. Jordan?
Why do people wear gloves? Obviously, because their hands are cold.
Come out or not, they were going to make their voices heard.
Your boys
and
got
in the
drip.
end, it was President Biden that came out on top for the Democrats. Now that the presidential primary in Minnesota has wrapped up, voters now see the impact their
He's a better reader than presenter.
vote made.
I know a lot of people think it's kind of a foregone conclusion, but it's still important to show up and vote.
With President Biden coming out on top for the Democratic
Cringe.
side, it
They're
was
doing the
something that
Obama
DFL members saw
poster.
coming.
There are no other serious candidates running. There are 9 people on the ballot. The only 2 candidates that are actually running are Biden and Phillips.
The Olmsted County DFL projected there wasn't going to be a close race, which might have turned voters
What?
away. Some polling places felt that absence.
Oh, I think he meant the only
That
two
was
who
2
haven't
hours
actually
before the
dropped
polls
out
closed.
yet.
Election officials
Ah.
expressed the importance of voting and why people should use that right.
We have an obligation to vote. That's just we should be voting in every election.
Voters who did come in to vote expressed what brought them out on this Super Tuesday and what they're hoping for in the future.
I'm just hoping that
it's not an
what's best for the
obligation,
country
it's a
ends up
civic
happening
duty.
when it comes to things like stability, acceptance of different people, the economy.
Just
I
like
think there's a clear
returning the
solution,
cart
but we'll
is
see.
a civic duty.
So
You're
far,
not
President Biden has
obligated
won
to
every
return that
Democratic
card.
primary that's been called, and now he moves one step closer to the November election where he would have the shot to defend his presidency. Maisie, Robin.
Thank you, Jordan. And now let's take a closer look at how the race is played out in our area. And for that, we turn it over to Maisie from our ABC6 News
He's
Election
just a
Center.
single
Maisie.
unit guy.
Yeah, Robin, it's much of the same story that we've been seeing state to state. Now,
Yeah.
we do have the ability to show the entire state of Minnesota and how people turned out at the polls today, but we have a closer look at our 5-county area. Let's take a look here. We're going to start with the Republican side of things. You can see that Donald Trump is green. That's how majority all of the
I got
counties are
that.
voting tonight. And I do want to point out that Fillmore County hasn't quite tallied up their votes yet, so they are white because those
Yep.
results are not in.
Uh-huh.
Now, Donald Trump is not a big surprise taking the majority of the counties because he's done so in all the other states. But what
It's
is
so
interesting
funny
is
that
on
they
the
still want to
Democratic
do
primary
this,
side, Joe Biden.
be like to explain how it's like, and then Trump, blah, blah, blah. Like, shut the fuck up and just say Trump wins. Like, come on. Like, we don't need to do this fucking song and dance. Like, I guess we're just humoring Nikki Haley at this point with
Yeah.
it, you know?
Biden is taking the majority of those as well, aside from Fillmore County, which hasn't been counted yet. But what's more interesting is that ahead of Dean Phillips, who is a congressman here in Minnesota, more people are saying that they're uncommitted on that ballot. They're not voting for Dean Phillips. He has almost
Yeah, he's a fucking
more
Zionist,
than twice as much
bro.
uncommitted versus Dean Phillips. Now, tonight's result pushing both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump one step closer to a general election rematch this fall. So
Bro,
what could that look
yeah,
like?
go back. Go back. You gotta see the pictures they used for both of them. These are the ones we're picking, guys.
Donald Trump one step closer to a general election rematch this fall. So what could that look like? Well, back in 2020, President Biden walked away with 306
2020?
electoral votes to win the White House compared to Donald Trump's 232. As far as the popular vote, both candidates enjoying record high numbers, with Biden securing more than 81 million votes to Trump's 74 million. Fast forward to today, and the latest polls show the general election this fall could be neck and neck. The most recent polling showing each candidate either tied or just point.
Kennedy isn't going to go anywhere. He is a joke candidate that only idiots are going to vote for, really. If you've actually listened to him talk, which we have a lot of videos listening to him talk, he is out of his mind. He has no marbles left to lose. So any votes that he does
Sounds
will
like you're
take
just an establishment
from Trump.
goon.
Yeah,
They-
because
your-
I don't think that 5G
your
disrupts the
brains-
blood-brain barrier. Yeah.
So far, it's been a pretty underwhelming Super Tuesday, but there is a storyline worth.
Yeah, exactly. The RFK was never gonna get votes from the left unless you're
RFK's
thinking
brain is bleeding more than the votes are gonna bleed.
If you really think about it, the only people on the left that vote for Kennedy are the people on the left who are like the classic anti-vaxxers, the hippie Karen mums that live in California and drive their fuel guzzling cars. Those people. Those are the ones who will vote for RFK, and the more crazy Trump people who are like, oh, I don't like Trump anymore, and they'll vote for him. So it'll definitely bleed votes from Trump more than anyone else.
Following last week, Michigan Democrats sent a message to President Biden when more than 100,000 of them voted uncommitted in that state's Democratic primary. It was a message to the president, call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza or else. Well, that or else movement quickly gained traction here in Minnesota, and there was a campaign all day today and the last several days to get Democratic voters here to say the same thing when they vote today. Even though 100,000 votes for uncommitted isn't forecasted in our state, the call out was regardless. So who answered it? Here's Kent Erdahl.
Protest votes were definitely cast at Minnesota polling places on Tuesday.
I voted uncommitted because I don't like what's going on in the world, especially with the
Hell yeah.
with the war in Gaza.
Minnesota is among at least 7 states with an uncommitted option on the Democratic primary ballot and an organized movement to urge Democrats to check the box in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. But after a very slow morning of voting reported in polling places from Minneapolis up to Blaine, those behind the movement here say don't expect a repeat of Michigan.
Our first phone bank was on Friday. So for us, we couldn't really form the same kind of numbers that they could.
Instead, Asma Mohammed Nizami says the goal in Minnesota and other states is to show the Biden administration they're serious.
What's funny, you know, hear how he nailed that name?
Some folks inside.
You know how, like, when I do Let's Meet Cakes, I always have them introduce themselves?
Yes.
So when we do interviews and stuff, we always have them say their name for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the beginning, and then when you play it back, you can just play it back over and over again until you have the name memorized for the read.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
The White House that the president is nervous about tonight's results, which I think is exciting for us because we want him to be nervous.
But just a few feet away in Blaine, several Democratic voters said they're nervous too about what the effort will mean come November.
Well, I guess we all can make our own decisions if that's what they want to do, as long as they don't do it in the general election, because Trump would be even more hardcore. God. So they might be just shooting themselves in the foot.
What would you say to those in that camp?
Zombie.
I think that an uncommitted vote is a really low stakes form of protest. We're just sending a message to the Biden administration.
True.
We are lifelong Democrats. I've been voting as a Democrat since I turned 18. And I think that we also have concerns about what November could hold, but we also
remember, Democrats in Minnesota are like
vote with Molotov.
Well, the thing is that that's the thing. The Somali population is like, they don't do that type of stuff, you know?
Yeah. You gotta bust in Antifa.
Yeah.
A snapshot of what Democrats are thinking across the nation.
He has work to do, and if he doesn't do that, he's going to really face a difficult November.
Jailani Hussein is also part of the uncommitted movement, but after he and other Muslim leaders called for a ceasefire that never came last year, they went a step further, vowing to abandon Biden in November.
50,000 Muslim voters plus will not be voting for President Biden in the upcoming 2024 election. This is not a faint promise.
Again, it should say abandon Brandon.
Strong word
It's
for the
way,
president.
it's way, it's way cut
promise
here.
stands, even if Biden reverses course tomorrow.
There's no way I'm going to be voting for President Biden. There's just no way.
Say he does support a ceasefire between now and then. Would he have your vote?
No, absolutely not.
I probably won't vote.
Yes, exactly. Fudge gets it.
Because it's just two bad options all the way around.
You know, and I meant to
is the
click this other one. It shifts my shit around. So I was talking today. Somebody posted something that was stupid, but it was the conspiracy bullshit page.
No,
it was something like things that the Nazis did that was good, and it was like kill Nazis, kill all the Islamists in Afghanistan. And I just like, for some reason, just it's one of those things where my autism took over, and I just had to explain how literally, as a communist, the last thing you should support is the Soviet Union in their invasion of Afghanistan, because the resistance against their government, which was literally all the resistance leaders had Marxist leanings, even the Muslim leaders, and even they only wanted like a Muslim republic and maybe monarchy stuff, like a constitutional monarchy stuff, right? So it wasn't the communism, it was the tyranny that they were against, right? So the first people who started that revolution, right? the first big group before the Soviets invade is literally two Maoist factions that used to be rivals that united, right? Sigmadullah Mujahidi, who is like one of these very, very important figures in Afghan society. He's the first guy who calls for an international coalition to come for to fight against these people for the freedom of the country, right? And the next guy is it's like Mohammed Nabi, but if you go and you look at Reagan, right, and you look at him when he brings the Mujahideen over, he's got a purple turban on. He's one of the only of the Peshawar 7 that endorsed the Taliban later. So that one might bet a little fuck up. But he's not even if he's not the worst guy out of all of them as well. They're like the two good faction leaders of the Mujahideen that were existing before the Soviets invaded. It could have been, I always say, right? The place communism fucked up is that it rejected religion. That's where they fucked up, because the third world societies, they have way more faith, right? And if they didn't fucking just kill all these people in Afghanistan, Afghanistan would have a Maoist, Marxist, and Islamic Republic type government. That would be a way better condition than the country's in now. Thanks, Soviets. It's really America, the CIA and Sealhawks' fault, though, as well.
Yeah.
Listening to this undecided movement here in Minnesota and in Michigan and in other states. Well, that was the question I took to two national political reporters this afternoon.
I've talked to a lot of Democrats on the ground who say they're not doing enough, who say, it's
don't care.
Didn't take long to call the presidential primary race in Alabama this evening. It's no surprise former President Donald Trump secured the state's 50 delegates over Nikki Haley.
And President Joe Biden also had little trouble locking up the state over long shot candidate Congressman Dean Phillips.
If we look at the county by map, county map, you can see Mr. Trump had a little competition after getting the endorsement of the state GOP and every Alabama lawmaker, Republican lawmaker.
And it was a mirror image for the Democrats, with every county voting for President Biden, only fueling speculation that November will be a 2020 rematch.
In total, it was a sweep for former President Donald Trump, with more than a dozen states tonight. He spoke to a crowd of supporters at his Mar-a-Lago estate. When thanking his supporters, he wasted no time criticizing the Biden administration.
And in some ways, we're a third world country. We're a third world country at our borders, and we're a third world country at our elections. And we have to stop that. We need a fair and free press. The press has not been fair, nor has it been free, but maybe someday.
Hey, you want a fair and free
At
press?
last check, Mr. Trump is now less than 5.
We're raising funds for our NGO to help journalists that are in conflict zones and places with limited freedoms. But who knows? If Trump wins again, maybe he'll be in America. Click. There's a Patreon link. Just pause. Type that in. It's just it's the same thing on all websites. It's the 5th Gen IW. You get your name at the bottom of the screen, and even if you just give us $1.
If you go to our Instagram or Twitter, our link tree has all our stuff in it. If you follow us, I think is it in the YouTube as well?
No, but I put the Patreon in the description.
Ah, there you go. Patreon's in the description of the YouTube, and we should put it in the description of all the streams as well.
Only YouTube lets you do the description.
Sure. Still.
Otherwise, I would.
Here's Chunk.
We might have people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
We will continue to be your single source of truth. Dismiss anything else.
That's true. We will.
100 electoral votes away from locking in the Republican nomination. All right, some of the big races across the state are in districts where we have new congressional lines.
On their phones while they went to see Trump.
Team coverage from across the state. We'll get to them in just a minute, but the race for House District 2, easily one of the closest watch races in the state. Last summer, the Supreme Court ordered our congressional map be redrawn to provide a second black.
That's why this is one of the ones I put on here to cover.
To try to secure that nomination to potentially flip this formerly safe Republican district. For the Republicans, it looks like
imagine Alabama turning blue. Can you fucking imagine?
Texas was so close.
Oh, I know. It was like half a point, wasn't it?
It was for all the states that Trump won, right? It was the third closest.
Interesting.
The other ones were like smaller states.
Yeah.
Where there's less population.
Yeah, that's crazy.
like State Senator Dick Brubaker leads that pack, but it has not been called just yet. And for the Democrats, House Minority
And you
Leader
definitely
Anthony
have
Daniels and
a
Shamari
really, really
figures
large
also
dick.
moving
Your
forward in the
peepee
runoff.
is
One of the candidates,
gigundo.
State Representative Wandling Gavan, came up short in the Democratic race. WVTM 13's Lisa Crane caught up with her at her watch party this evening in Montgomery. What did she have to say, Lisa?
Well, guys, we talked to her just a couple of minutes ago, and she hadn't decided at this point whether she was going to get behind Daniels or Figures in a runoff election. She said she was disappointed that more women voters didn't turn out to support the women on the Democratic ticket during this primary. Now, when she arrived here hours ago, her supporters were here to cheer her on.
Look, I'm very like pretty accurate with most of my predictions. Like I still rub it in to people that said Haley was going to drop out before North Carolina, and I was like, no, she won't. I firmly believe that it will not turn blue because the Republican Party is going to collapse, and the Pelosi style Democrat, that type of Democrat is going to shift and be the new Republican base. It's going to bounce back from that fascist breach after it collapses, which will be seen in Texas as to be the rational side, because the Democrats are going to become way more progressive. And so it's going to rebalance itself out in a similar way in a new party system.
She said she ran because she believes in democracy and she didn't want to miss out on this opportunity. But she was very disappointed in the voter turnout today. She called it scary. She says no matter who wins, they have to break the code on how to motivate voters to show up.
Try to galvanize the Democratic Party. I mean, whoever wins is going to have to do that. You're going to have to.
I think you need thicker frame glasses.
I think she's got a shirt that says Diva. I think she's shit.
Galvanize a base. That means working with those who did not win, trying to figure out what that looks like. But we've got to figure out how to get people. The Democratic Party is going to have to figure out how to get the people to the polls in November.
You need Hillary Clinton.
Now, Gavan says this new congressional district is an opportunity, whether that is an opportunity for other.
I've been to, this is a hotel. I've been to hotels that look just like, there's the room doors behind her too. This is a fucking embassy suites.
Republicans or the Democrats remains to be seen. Now, WVTM 13's Magdala Lusant is not too far from here at another Democratic candidate's headquarters. Magdala?
Wow.
Yes, Lisa, we're about 15 minutes away from you at a church in Montgomery where Marika Coleman was holding her watch party here. Now, everyone has gone home, but Marika Coleman didn't want to call it a night because she wanted all of the numbers to come in. She is proud of the campaign she says she ran. Now, Marika Coleman, we know she's been in Montgomery all day today at polling places, thanking her supporters. And those people showed up tonight embracing her at this watch party while they waited for the results to come in. Now, Coleman was one of the top candidates voters wanted to see represent Alabama in the House in Washington, D.C. And as we've been telling you all year long up until today, District 2 was newly created after the Supreme Court approved a 3-jury panel's new version of Alabama's congressional map. This was only done because legislatures were not drawing a map that fairly represented the Black vote in the state. Well, Marika Coleman tells me today they've been hearing that people were not notified they had new polling locations and some didn't know their district had changed.
Of course.
In addition to, we're hearing that, nearly 5,000.
Of course that happened. Of course that
That's exactly why the Supreme Court approved it, because they knew that was exactly what's going to happen.
Insane.
Did not have the correct district on it. Now, that is a travesty. That means 5,000 people within the district here in Montgomery were disenfranchised if they did not have the opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choice. This entire court case was about African Americans having the opportunity to choose the candidate of their choice. And if nearly 5,000 ballots were misprinted, then we have an issue.
I did call Montgomery County's election center to get this information confirmed, and I was told someone would be calling me back. And at this time, I have not heard from them. Marika tells me that she spoke with someone who is very close to this redistricting lawsuit, who is out in Mobile, and they tell her that this is not over, and they are planning the process, the court process, right now. And she still wants to see a second congressional district for African Americans in Alabama. We're live in Montgomery. I'm Magdala Lusant, WVTM 13.
Thank you, Magdala. Well, several congressional incumbents were able to fend off their challengers tonight. In District 3, it looks like Congressman Mike Rogers beat out Brian Newell and Baron Bevels for another 2 years in the House. Robert Aderholtz, the state's longest-serving lawmaker, Justin Holcomb. It was a bit closer in District 6. Congressman Gary Palmer facing Garrick Wilkins and
Look at this fucking guy. Jesus.
That's just another guy in a disguise. Come on.
Peters Palmer will run against Democrat Elizabeth Anderson in November. In District 7, Congresswoman Terry Sewell dominated her challenger, Chris Davis. Christian Horn and Robin Leidecker, both on the Democratic side in this race, and it's still too close to call at this point. All right, another closely watched race has to do with the state Supreme Court current Chief Justice Tom Parker, who will be retiring at the end of his term.
That's right. You hear that? You hear that? Supreme Court justice retiring at the end of his term. That's right. The Supreme Court is on the ballot again, people. Here we go. If Trump wins, we're fucked. The Supreme Court will get another Republican from the Federalists. No. But it is the Supreme Court again. They're about to be retiring.
Oh, who?
Just the old guys. They might retire in the next term. In the next 4 years, it's very likely.
Epic.
As we told you, Arlie Peck has been monitoring the Jerry Carl camp.
Okay. Never trust people with two first names.
He is speaking now. Let's see
what that's Alabama. Everyone has two first names.
And I congratulate Congressman
Jim Bob.
Let him win and move on. Take this country back.
Oh my God, he sounds like an Alabama story.
Take this country back.
We're gonna do a Christian ceremonial cross-sliding.
Gulf Stream. They're calling it. It's the Gulf Stream because it's the hottest, fastest news coming at you.
He conceded. Great.
Well, listen, we've got some calls. First of all, the President Biden is going to win in Alabama, but we can now project that former President Trump will win the Alabama Republican primary.
And the Fox News Decision Desk can also project that President Biden.
Oh, we're going to another desk
He's
for
also
this
going to win
fucking
Alabama.
shit, bro. You fucking kidding me right
We can
now?
also.
Christ.
No, I want it. I want it. It's funny. It's funny.
Well, listen, we've got some calls.
Bro, no, I wanted to see their.
Okay, Alabama, 82%. It's early
went
on.
to a
But
whole
we'll call
desk.
that. The
Where
Fox
did the
News
desk
Decision
go?
Desk again will say that former President Trump can win Tennessee, and
Okay,
President
so
Biden.
they get
you know
they
what?
get it
They're
from
just
the
gonna, they're
decision
winning
desk.
a lot
Okay.
of different states. Tennessee, there
Wow.
you go, and then
They put a
President Biden with
difference up
Alabama.
there.
We're going down, ticking it one by one, but there are no surprises here in either of these calls.
there you go.
Alabama, Tennessee.
Great. Texas.
On the Super Tuesday, numbers continue to roll in tonight. We've got the latest results for the primaries in both local and state races.
We have our team of reporters across San Antonio covering all the key races, from the races for U.S. Senate and House to several Texas
idea.
races that could have huge implications across the state.
And we will break it all down. But first
Pull up
tonight,
your
in the
fucking
spotlight,
multicam.
our candidate,
Normally
Governor
you'd
Greg
never-
Abbott,
Oh,
has
look at
endorsed to
that.
support his year-long fight to
They
create
got
school
a-
vouchers. Now, that issue
who's-
was not
who's
on the
working
ballot.
the fucking graphics machine back there. What a clever guy. You know? I wonder if they fucking just use that and to have like a default in the switcher. Like, man, these people are creative with what they got.
However, the governors go after Texas Republicans who voted against school vouchers.
One of those races was for State House District 121.
Audio fucked
Abbott
up.
threw his support behind Mark LaHood, who's currently beating, as you can see
LaHood.
here, incumbent Steve Allison 55% to 39%. Let's
Two
get to Mike
first names
Jimenez, who
again,
starts our
Steve
coverage
Allison.
tonight. Mike?
Well, guys, it's definitely a party in here at LaHood's watch party. No, we spoke with the candidate just
right
a
there as
short
well,
time
that
ago.
when they cut to him, they slowly brought his audio in to fade him in, knowing it was going to be a loud room that they were going to.
Who tells us that many told him not to run in District 121 because he's too conservative and Steve Allison is too entrenched in the district. But he says after he prayed with his wife, he decided to run, and it looks like tonight those prayers were answered. Now, at last check, the numbers, LaHood shows ahead 54%
Man,
of the vote.
that food
and
sure
Allison
looked
with just under 40%.
great.
The third candidate, Michael Champion, captured a little more than 6% of the vote.
Awful lot of
After the
honkies.
initial results came in, we spoke with Steve Allison, who says he was not too concerned about the gap, but was disappointed with Governor Abbott's support of LaHood and his
The angry
constituents for
elephant.
falling
Oh,
for the negative
cringe. It's like a Republican club.
That I'm disappointed. That I don't think that they looked at qualifications and background and were sold.
Salt.
Yeah, because it's almost like they're uneducated whites.
With 75% of the vote defeating
Taylor
Shakir
Swift.
Sinha with 25% of the vote.
Tonight, 2 seats are up for grabs for Bexar County Commissioner's Court. For Precinct 1, Democrat incumbent Rebecca Clay Flores is currently leading against 5 other candidates, but
nailed
so
the
far
pronunciation.
has not secured 50% of the vote. And for Precinct 3, Republican incumbent Grant Moody has the lead over Chris Schuhart, 52% to 48%. KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna is covering both races tonight. Megan?
Well, EC's Henry, I was able to visit with Rebecca Clay Flores earlier at her watch party, but right now I'm outside Brett Moody's watch party where he's just now.
I really don't like the phone being in the shot. I cannot describe how much that is annoying me. It happened the last stream too.
She's probably using it as her own monitor. She's probably got it's like a Terra deck.
Oh no, of course she is. I saw her hit it before she started speaking. She's got something on there. But just fucking put it out of. You don't need both hands to talk with. Just consciously just have it out of screen.
Well, she has to make sure she's framed up.
Yeah, I know. And then once you're framed up, you can take it out of screen because you don't need it there.
There's probably a reason for it.
I hope so.
Talking with his supporters, a small personal group here tonight, and it kind of sounds like some claps, some cheers, because he is ahead with a decent lead right now. Too soon, of course, to call this one, but right now it looks like he might be on the ballot. The latest numbers have him at about 52%. Now he's facing off against business
you
owner
owe
Chris
her an
Schumer,
apology.
who ran
No,
a nearly
still take it out of the shot. When you need the notes, bring it up. Take it out or use a notepad.
Look, I'm gonna defend her because she's clearly short, right?
Sure.
Tripods only get so low or so high. The shot only has enough space. She might not be able to have it dropped out of the shot. She might normally frame herself up so she's out of the shot.
Sure.
You got to do what you got to do, my man. You know, the news doesn't wait for anyone. You wait for it when you're sitting there. Hurry up and go at and they go, okay, we're going to come to you. And you work for 5 minutes and then
You
go,
could just do
okay.
what that dude did, and when his phone rang, he yeets it out the fucking set.
funny campaign for San Antonio mayor last year, of course, now running against Moody. If Moody, though, is reelected, this would be his first 4-year term as a commissioner, but he says he's confident with what he was able to accomplish since he was elected during a special election in 2022.
Because I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done. We focus on public safety, which I still think is foundational and
they got the
priority
stick
number
mic
one.
and the lapel
but also
on
there's
right
work
now.
to be done around spending, around making sure we get our property taxes down.
And like I mentioned, we spent some time earlier in precinct 1 for Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores, who says that she was really confident this wasn't going to go into a runoff. But like we just heard, it appears it could if she doesn't get that 50%. She was facing 5 candidates for that Democratic ballot, but she says regardless, she's confident moving forward in this election. She says that she's proud of what she was able to accomplish in her 4 years as a commissioner for precinct 1. And here's what she said about the election
This watch party
so far
looks
and the
way
support
better.
she's received.
It's really, I'm thankful to my team, to my block walkers, to the voters, to constituents. So I'm just really.
That's a people's candidate. You can tell.
Yeah,
So still a lot of excitement there as well. And if she does make it to the ballot, or if it goes to a runoff, whoever wins on the Democratic side will
Look,
be
do you know how
facing
much
off
money
against
this
Republican
fucking watch
Lino
party
Corrado
probably
for
cost this guy?
Thousands.
Right? That's just like, hey, we got like a back room at a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
that precinct 1 seat.
Hey, I got a question that's not relevant to the current video. None of them are. They never are.
All right, Megan, thank you. In the race for U.S. Senate, 9 Democrats are looking to challenge Ted Cruz in November. And tonight, you can see here, Congressman Colin Allred of Dallas declaring victory with.
This might be the best team covering it. I don't know. I feel like this one. I still do like specifically the guy who doesn't fit in the chair, though.
There's the question.
I don't know. They got a lot of people to go to. We'll see if they fuck it up.
Got the question.
That's a difficult question. Now, for commercial drones, I'm not familiar, but I assume that like basically the range for that type of shit. Now, that said, what kind of drone capabilities does the United States have? Can they strike Iran with just a drone from inside the States, But the dronification of warfare is just going to keep going up and up.
Yeah.
But there's like they do have a range on them, the drones, from like where you're going from. But it's like I was just Chris Cappy just did a video on the Bone, the B1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how the strikes after the Tower 22 hit in Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those planes took off from Texas and came home for dinner, and it was an 18-hour mission, right?
Yeah.
So they literally were in the air for 18 hours, bombed Syria so hard that no more strikes have happened against U.S. forces since. Right, and they were happening like multiple times a week, right? And
Yeah.
they flew, and so it's a whole video about how the U.S. is going and investing back into the B-1
Yeah.
because
Modernizing it.
that's because it can do that type of shit.
It's what they did with the F-15 because they realized it's such a good platform, so they put new engines and new avionics in it. It's basically a new plane.
Yeah, it's going to be slightly slower.
Oh, big deal. It's gone from 3,500 kilometers an hour to 3,400 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, I don't
Womp
think it
womp.
can do something. What did it go before? Mach 3?
Almost 4. It's the
Okay.
fastest fighter jet ever made.
So it might not be able to do Mach 3 anymore then.
Okay.
Maybe even Mach 2.
You
I don't
need
remember
that anymore. Like the
I don't
plane was
remember.
literally invented.
Well, you know what they
to
use them for?
chase down. Well, it was literally invented to chase down a plane that they only had information about through whispers. It didn't even exist. It was the MiG-26. They over-engineered this plane so hard that it shit on every single MiG to come out for 30 years.
I see them. Those and F-16s I'll see used a lot with F-35s to refuel them.
Yes.
And that's the only reason why the plane is there, because it can fly up and refuel and then land. But yeah, so I was informing some idiot today that they were trying to say that Israel doesn't bomb Iran. And they tried to say that the Israelis can't do buddy refueling in air because the F-35 used a boom arm. And I'm like, there's 4 different F-35s. Like they have 20% parts in common. That's how different these planes are. And like only one uses the boom arm. And the Israeli one, guess what? The Israeli one can use a ton penetrator, a 1-ton penetrator to be able to counter Iran's nuclear capabilities. They can take off with the F-35 and this penetrator, bomb Iran, and return on 1 tank. That's how modified the Israeli F-35 is. It's a completely different plane than what this guy was thinking. People are so dumb. The conspiracy about all this shit about people think everything about the F-35, how it was like a waste of money, this and that. The Raptor was a waste of money. Like it's a cool ass plane, but there's a reason why they're not going forward with it. It's unnecessary.
They also aren't building them anymore. They also
exactly. They're retiring the whole fleet.
Yeah, and then they also stopped making them, but instead of picking up the F-22 supply chain again, they went to the F-15 because once again the F-15 is the most superior fighter.
Why would you have an F-35 and an F-22?
Exactly. You only need one stealth fighter, and if you've got a super fast air superiority fighter in the F-15 and they've modernized it, who cares? You've got your air superiority fighter. You've got your multi-role. You've got your bomber. You've got your fighter bomber. You've got everything.
They just did a flyover, right? Because they just joined NATO. So they just did a flyover with a B-1 and the B-52. And it was escorted by Gripens.
Fuck yeah. I was hoping you were going to say that because the Gripens are sick. But they're selling them to Turkey and Greece now, I think.
The Gripen?
As a part of the NATO deal, yeah.
I know that wasn't Turkey getting F-16s as well, or do they already have
Possibly.
them?
They could be getting them from. It was definitely Turkey. Oh, Hungary was the other one. Is getting Gripens. So it'll be Hungary and Turkey with Sweden as a part of the deal for getting them into NATO. They sell them weapons. Which, funnily enough, I actually looked into it. Weapons is one of Sweden's highest exports.
No, because we were laughing at that one girl, right?
Yeah. But this is something that I knew a long time ago. Like,
yeah, I know. Swedish weapons are so good.
Yeah, they're excellent. Saab doesn't even make cars anymore.
I was about to say, isn't Saab the Swedish one?
Yeah, they still make weapons and trucks. And I think they still make trucks because the trucks can be turned into weapons.
The thing about
60% of the
the
vote.
Griffins or any type of Eurofighter, they're specifically designed for one type of thing, and it's
Yes.
maneuverability at low speed.
Yeah. The
Canada is across the
Eurofighter-
ocean. They don't need a low speed agility fighter. They need a long range, get shit done workhorse.
Yeah. Australia too, but for some fucking reason we went with the F-35s instead of buying a fleet of 250 F-15s. That makes sense, right?
Well, probably because the F-35 is going to be like easier to train on and maintain or something. And it's going to
we
have future
less
capability.
less than 100 of them.
And earning the nomination to challenge Cruz, you can see he took the lead over State Senator Roland Gutierrez with 17% of the vote. Ken's 5 Zach Briggs is following this race for us tonight from Gutierrez's camp. Zach?
Well, dozens of people gathered here at the friendly spot just south of downtown San Antonio supporting State Senator Roland Gutierrez. Certainly an emotional end for Gutierrez's campaign. As
He's got his phone out of the
embracing
shot.
the
Came up
parents
for
of
a
loved
second
ones who
there.
died at Rod Elementary School almost 2 years ago. And he officially conceded. He called up Mr. Allred, congratulating him for this win. And as he said, Henry, Mr. Allred leading significantly in this race. As of 9 p.m., 53% of precincts reporting. Allred hovering around 60% of the vote compared to Gutierrez, who was sitting around 15%. Now, earlier, Gutierrez greeted supporters, including the parents who lost their children in the Robb Elementary tragedy. Gutierrez has been a prominent advocate for the Uvalde community. He's pushed for accountability after the massively delayed response by law enforcement to take down the shooter who killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Allred has focused his campaign on a theme of bipartisanship, working with Republicans to find middle ground when it comes to various issues, including immigration and the border. He's also pledged to codify Roe versus Wade, if elected senator, believing that a woman has the right to choose when it comes to abortion.
Interesting.
But I promise you here right now that my fight against Ted Cruz isn't over, and my fight against Donald Trump isn't over, and my fight against these Republicans isn't over, because, folks, they don't give one damn red cent about you.
People elect leaders to represent them and their interests, to try to fix things for them, not to look out for themselves. We've had enough of that with Ted Cruz. It's time to go in a different direction.
And now Congressman Allred and his campaign certainly laser focused now on what's to come in November when he faces off against Ted Cruz.
I don't see Ted Cruz losing. I mean, he was the Republican.
Now we're live south of downtown. Zach Briggs.
Yeah. I don't see him losing either. Okay, next.
Now to the
Cancun
Democratic
Cruz.
primary for U.S. Senate, and NBC News projects Congressman
We
Colin
can
Allred
skip this
has
one.
defeated.
Do we want to move on? This for too long.
No. Yeah, keep going down. Scroll down some more.
Texas, California. Here we go.
More election news for you. Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey are heading for a runoff in November in the California Senate. But take a look at just how close things are this morning.
Yeah, here are the latest numbers, and this is a narrow lead by Adam Schiff with 33% of the vote, Steve Garvey with 32%. Eyewitness News reporter Irene Cruz joins us in studio with reaction from the candidates. Irene.
Yeah, John, Rachel, this is a bit of a rare case. A Republican has not advanced to the general election.
After I've seen what can be
What?
done with
3 Senate
panels.
races, but Republicans.
Did you hear that?
What?
A Republican has not moved forward to the race. Not one.
Republican and former Dodger Steve Garvey and U.S. Representative Adam Schiff are both going to the November runoff. They will try to claim the U.S. Senate seat previously held by the late Dianne Feinstein. Now, we were at Schiff's camp last night where protesters actually interrupted his speech.
I want to thank. So lucky to
Delete
live
this
in a
video,
democracy.
Huh?
I can delete this video that's also covering that, the protesters.
Where we all have the right to protest.
You can hear the protesters calling for a ceasefire in the Israeli-Hamas war. Security removed some protesters, but there were still dozens. Schiff had to cut his remarks short. Now, as for the race itself, Schiff led the way. Garvey placed second among the candidates. Democratic Representatives Katie Porter and Barbara Lee were a distant third and fourth. And we also heard from Steve Garvey in Palm Desert, where he thanked his supporters.
Psychopath.
They say in the general election that we're going to strike out. Well, know this. It ain't over till it's over. And he's
He's a
mistaken
weird
kindness
dude.
for weakness.
Okay, so we can
Remember
skip
that
his
old
full
saying, be
comment.
careful
We
what you
got
ask
enough
for?
from them there. Delete that.
Well,
Does he remind you of fucking Ronald Reagan, bro? Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then watches me run around the bases.
I don't trust him at all. No one bit.
Yeah, no, he's gonna lose.
While the votes are still coming in, we know that tonight we will come up short. Let me also say this. Our opponents through
Can you put it on a? Can you draw it on a
trick,
whiteboard for me to
millions
understand?
of dollars, every trick in the playbook to knock us off our feet. But I'm still standing in high heels. The most important thing I want to say tonight is thank you.
She's so
because
cringe.
of you, we had the establishment running scared, withstanding 3-to-1
Yeah.
TV spending and an onslaught of billionaires who spent millions peddling lies, and our opponents spending more to boost the Republican than promoting his own campaign. I want to thank each and every one of you, really, each and every one of you, for the support that you have shown me in this campaign and over the years.
In San Francisco, voters have passed Proposition E, so that measure revamps police policies.
Huh?
Yeah, she was upset. You could hear it in her voice. No, I like these girls. I like how they're reporting. She was upset. She was about to cry.
Of course she was.
Could make it easier to fight crime in the city.
We got a
Ground's Michael
QR
Thomas is
code
live
out
at
here.
City Hall with the latest. Good morning, Michael.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Now, the passing of Proposition E essentially will give San Francisco police a little bit more power and really resources to deal with the crime.
Is it okay he's holding his phone now because he also has to hold an umbrella?
Yes,
and
that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable. It could go in your pockets.
Also may see a little bit more police chases, as now it will allow them to actually pursue them by car. Take a look. This is video up on your
Oh
screen.
my God! Do not pass this. Do not pass this.
The most
Please
San Francisco reporter ever.
Do not pass this. Do not allow
everything
fucking
down.
high-speed police chases in your fucking city. Do
Now,
not.
the passing of
Your
Proposition
streets
E
are way
essentially
too
will
small.
focus on
Do
and widen the
not
scope
do
of San
this,
Francisco
you
police being
idiot.
able to chase suspects by car. Prior to this passing, the Police Commission imposed a 10-year-old policy that would only allow officers to chase criminals if they felt that the suspect had committed a violent felony or the person was a threat to public safety. Now, however, officers can chase criminals by car if the person has committed or is likely to commit a felony or violent misdemeanor.
Oh my God. Likely to. Red flags. Red flags. Oh my God. People are going to die.
Which means that it widens the window when it comes to chasing criminals, robbing, or breaking into retail stores,
boy.
which has been a major issue in the city of San Francisco.
my God.
It also authorizes police to use more drones and install public surveillance cameras with the latest
Yeah. They're going to implement tactics from Ukraine. They're going to start dropping fucking mortars on people.
technologies without further approval. And lastly, it allows police department to actually hold community meetings before the police commission can make major changes to the way that the department polices. Overall,
Okay, that's not awful. They have to hold community meetings before they change policy.
the measure did pass with more than a 50% vote saying yes. And Mayor
That is possibly the worst police car I've ever seen.
They passed it with more than 50% vote.
Crazy.
You idiots! Oh my God.
London Breed actually did put out a statement. It's up on your screen now, saying in part, essentially thanking voters for the passage of Proposition E, saying that it will allow us to build on the progress we are delivering on public safety in San Francisco by supporting the work of our police officers, expanding our use of technology, and getting officers out from behind their desks and onto our streets. We will continue in our mission
keep them
to make
behind
San
the desk.
Francisco a safer city. Now, in addition to this, it also does limit the time that officers can
safer
spend
city.
doing
I have it.
administrative work indoors and behind that.
What?
Safer city, high-speed chases.
Desk. So essentially,
Through a very, very hilly city.
Yeah, wild.
That's going to be epic. The amount of Florida Man level videos of cop chases we're going to see out of fucking San Francisco, I hope goes up. Not so people die, but because I want to see those epic videos. Cop cars flying over the hills. That'd be epic. They commission police trophy trucks.
yes, there will be more officers out on the street patrolling. Back out here live as we get more details regarding.
Also, why do you have a phone without a cover, you psycho?
I have a phone without a cover.
And yours broke.
Yeah, but it's also plastic.
Sure. That is not.
And I drop it all the time.
How the police department plans to move forward with all of these changes, we'll keep you updated.
Thank you.
Give California more control over how monies from a voter-approved tax on millionaires are used.
Okay, I don't care.
No. You hear what that's doing?
focusing on housing for homeless veterans, plus money.
They're gonna take. They're gonna
and
take the money from the billionaires to house the homeless and veterans. That's what the Prop 1 is.
Interesting. Okay.
There's also there's a really funny thing. I don't know if I put it in here. So they raised like minimum wage for fast food workers.
Okay. To what?
Right, 20.
Oh.
So I mean, it's still California. So
yes.
and
so it's not
so there's a
proportionate.
weird carve out in there that said if they make bread, they're immune. If they make bread daily, they're immune. And it turns out that like Panera Bread invested a shitload of money into Gavin Newsom, so they
Oh
got a
my
special
God.
carve out. Is that fucking awesome?
That's so funny. Jesus Christ.
McDonald's about to be making bread just to not pay employees. All because of that shit.
Drug or alcohol treatment, essentially taking a lot
I
of
think
that
the
money from
backlash made
county
him cancel the carve out. Oh no! I hope that's not true because it's funny. If it is.
it to the state government.
Voting, of course, still underway here in California. 1 hour.
Okay. We got the headline. That's fine. There was some stuff down here that I wanted to say.
Joining me now is Adam Goodman, partner at Ballard Partners. Adam, so good to see you once again.
Great to be with you. Another week of
I
primaries
said it was
looms and
still
another.
being voted on. If I heard that correctly.
Yeah, that was a day ago.
Prop 1 would give California more control, essentially taking a lot of that money from the counties and giving it to the state government.
Voting, of course, still underway here in California. 1 hour, 15 minutes to go.
There you go.
So our efforts to count early ballot.
Okay.
No, there's this one. This one's got California election coverage.
Joining me now is Adam Goodman, partner at Ballard Partners. Adam, so good to see you once again.
Great to be with you. Another week of primaries looms and another.
GOP strategists.
Yeah, they suck. There's a board here. Look at how tight that is. It's behavioral health services is how they're marketing it.
That is very
That's only
tight.
21%, and it was that close.
Crazy.
I wonder. I have to go look up if this passed.
Exactly. And like you said, every few weeks, I do bring you on and you give us some insight into the state of the 2024 race. Today is no different. As we sit here right now, we are on the eve of Super Tuesday. And over the weekend, we saw Nikki Haley win the DC primaries. So my first question to you is, what does this mean for the rest of the race?
All the money that's gone behind her now yielded at least a few delegates, right? In one win. I mean, it's going to go down as a footnote in history. I mean, it's nice to hear that.
12 minutes ago from NBC Los Angeles.
Primary.
Early results show Californians are evenly divided on ballot measure.
Ooh, interesting.
In the history of the party and of the nation. That's a very cool thing. But she now faces the grim truth.
It is hilarious. You'll join us eventually. You'll get there.
Right? Some would say the
See enough
political
shit.
reaper because she has
See what the world actually is, and
Monday.
What
you'll
wall?
join us.
What wall? We're saying, because we're laughing at like how fucking awful this shit is.
And that's why we're different, because we laugh at this instead of making you scared.
In North Dakota, which she's not favored to do well in, and then of course Super Tuesday, which may be a super loss across the board for
Oh
her.
my god, I fucking hate these people.
You want to see the reporting? It's 50%
Yeah, go on.
counted. It's crazy. Look at that. That's so close.
Wow. Wait, what are the actual numbers?
It's like this is the digit that's different. The third digit in 7, and then this one's 5.
Crazy.
So it's 19.7 and 19.5.
How much of it's counted? 52%.
52%.
Interesting.
So
Literally could go anyway. It takes a lot.
From ABC4 News, your local election headquarters.
From your local election headquarters, we have new developments just into the newsroom in the race for president.
Yeah, former South Carolina Governor
What do you
Nikki
think about
Haley
them
is expected
holding
to
the
announce
tablet?
that she's dropping out of
No.
the Republican presidential race.
Fucking just get a yellow fucking legal pad for fuck's sake. It's not that hard. It looks better.
Now, three people who are familiar with her plan say she's
Not yellow. Not yellow. Different color or a
No,
pad
this is
or
high
a
tech.
book
It
or
makes
something.
you look like you got the cutting edge tech at your news thing,
Sure.
even though it's just an iPad.
Yeah.
on making that announcement in her home state of South Carolina at 8 o'clock this morning. Now, that news comes just hours after the polls closed for Super Tuesday. Sources say Haley will not endorse anyone for president. Now, this morning, we also have a better idea of who Utah Republicans and Democrats want to see run for president.
So Utah's preliminary results from Super Tuesday now show former President Donald Trump beating candidate Nikki Haley with 58% of the vote. The AP called Utah for Trump based on these numbers overnight. Utah caucuses were slated to wrap up at 9 p.m., but a number of issues delayed last night's results at several locations. As for the Democratic Party, the AP has called Utah for President Joe Biden. That call came in just minutes after polls closed. So far, Biden has carried 88% of the vote here. His next closest challenger was Marianne Williamson with 5%. Now, as for the delays on Utah's GOP caucuses, they were just about to begin. As they were just about to begin, ABC4 News started hearing reports of long lines, confusions with the software, and a lack of answers, leaving voters frustrated.
We're kind of all laughing with frustration. I do know that there are several of my neighbors that have gone home because they didn't want to stay. So that, I mean, ultimately that means that they no longer get a vote.
The primary is important. And if they're going to have a caucus, which I disagree with, then they should at least send flyers around explaining what that means and explaining that you need to pre-register at a certain and how to do it on your cell phone. I would never have been able to do it without my daughter.
And we still weren't.
And we still weren't.
Now, they also say even the line for people pre-registered to vote was wrapped around the high school.
I wasn't able to do it without my daughter there. Yeah, and we still weren't. And we still weren't. So your daughter is just as dumb as you. Okay. What do you? We have to be a registered Republican to vote for Trump right now?
Ugh, I don't want to watch Hannity.
Let's go to Mar-a-Lago and listen in.
But
I
he
think the
says
president
this
has
is
stepped out
making
to begin
history.
speaking.
They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. This is a big one.
This is a big one.
And they tell me,
love
the
him so
pundits
much, bro.
and otherwise, that there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive.
Never
This was
been
an
an election
amazing,
like
Do you hear his
an
newest
amazing night, an amazing
vocal
day.
club
It's been an
meltdown?
incredible period
No. What's this one?
I'll find
Alright.
it.
of
I'm gonna
time
play it. I'm
in
gonna get a
our
drink.
country's history.
Yeah, I'll
It's
find
been
it.
sad in so many ways, but I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time. We've watched our country take a great beating over the last 3 years, and nobody thought a thing like this would be possible. We wouldn't have Russia attacking Ukraine. We wouldn't have Israel being attacked. Iran, as you know, was broke. When I was running things, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have money for Hezbollah. We had no inflation. Inflation is destroying the middle class. It's destroying everything. Inflation, if you look back over the history, hundreds of years back, inflation is called a country buster. And that's what it's doing to our country. What's happened with inflation has been
You just be saying
unbelievable.
shit, bro.
A lot of people say, a lot of experts have said the stock market's the only thing that's doing well, and that's doing well because our poll numbers are so much higher than Joe Biden's.
Okay, that's not how it works.
He's the worst president in the history of our country.
That's you, buddy.
There's never been anything like what's happening to our country. Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. Migrants
That's
were
not
flown
how it
in
works.
Airplane, not going through.
You
Imagine
literally,
being voted
you literally
historically lower
need to
than
be
the
a
guy who
citizen to vote,
caused.
bro. You need to be a citizen to vote, bro.
Imagine being voted lower on the rank of presidents than the guy who caused the Civil War. You fuckwit.
I don't know what to
borders,
Google to
not
get this
going
vocal
through
fluff
that
to
great
come up.
Texas barrier that I was with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, the other day, and
I've been in
we were
Donald
looking at the
Trump's
job they're doing. But in the
new
meantime, they're
noise
pouring into
now
California and
to
they're
try and
pouring
get it to
into
come up.
Arizona because those governors aren't doing anything. They're doing nothing. But today it was just announced before I came out. It was unbelievable. I said, that must be a mistake. They flew 325,000 migrants, flew them in over the borders into our country. So that really tells you where they're coming from. They want open borders, and open borders are going to destroy our country. We need borders and we need free and fair elections, and we don't have a country. This is an incredible group of people. So many celebrities that I'm not going to introduce any because I'm just going to get myself in trouble if I do that because I'll leave out most of you. But this is a room chock full of incredible, talented people.
Because
some of the guys
I don't
standing
remember
here in
any of
front
your
me,
names,
right?
and you'll hate me
Big
because
futures, big, fat, beautiful futures. Oh, I'd love to be your age. I'd pay you a lot of money to be your age.
Oh
But
my
we have some tremendously talented people in this room, including tremendously talented political people that have helped me right from the beginning. We had the safest border in the history of our country. We built 571 miles of wall.
We did
had
a
Mexico
fucking
supply us with
watch of
28,000
RoboCop. I'm just
soldiers
trying to get it
because
edited down
we
so it
wanted them,
doesn't
that's
get
why. And they said
copyright
that we won't
claimed.
do
But
that. I said,
obviously,
yes, you
it's like a
will, you
back
will.
burner
And
project
in the
because we
end,
have
they
so
did.
much to do all the
It
time.
was an easy negotiation, but we had the safest border, the best numbers we've ever had, and now we have the worst numbers probably in the history of the world. It's sad to see what's happening to our cities. Our cities are being overrun with migrant crime, and that's Biden migrant crime. But it's a new category of crime, and it's violent, where they'll stand in the middle of a street and have fistfights with police officers, and if they did that in their countries from where they came, they'd be killed instantly. They wouldn't do that. So the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us.
It's so funny. You
2
literally
years ago,
get
we were
killed
at a level,
instantly
we were
here for
energy
fighting with
independent, we were
police,
gonna
not
be
other
virtually energy
countries.
dominant, and today we're getting oil from Venezuela. Can you believe it? And we're
energy
doing
independent.
numbers on that oil. You know what we're doing? We're refining the oil. We have our refinery for that oil. It's really, I call it tar. It's not oil. It's terrible. We have real stuff, but we're refining.
We
it in
are
Houston.
energy
So for all of the
independent.
environmentalists, you ought to look at that because all of that tar is going right up into the atmosphere. You just ought to take a look. It's the only.
Oh my God!
We have the only plants.
Now
that can take
oil's
tar.
bad because it's communist oil and not American oil.
Where does he fucking get this shit from?
Are we fucking for real, bro?
How do people listen to him and like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about?
They're because he's racist.
And make it into oil, and that's what it is. It's a shame.
God, I don't know
But
what
we were
the
energy independent.
Maybe it will
We
be
were
in
gonna
here. I'm
energy
sure
dominant.
David
We were gonna be
Pacman
supplying
will
oil to
include the
Europe,
weird
all
Trump
over the world,
noise.
and then
Yeah.
a
I
tragic
typed
thing
in
happened
Donald
during the
Trump
election. It
new
was a
noise
tragedy.
funny. Still didn't
Because-
get it to come up.
You wouldn't have think of it. All of the problems that you have today, I don't think you would have had any of them. You'd only have success, and that's what's ultimately going to unify this country and unify this party. We have a great Republican Party with tremendous talent, and we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity, and it's going to happen very quickly. And I have been saying lately, success will bring unity to our country, and it happened before. We had the best economy our country's ever had, and people were calling me that I would have said, will never happen. It'll never happen. They wanted to get together, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, men, people with diplomas from the best schools in the world, and people that didn't graduate from high school. Every single group was doing better than ever before. And it was a beautiful thing. Our country was coming
Listen
together.
to him sniffing
Our
McAdderall.
country was coming together. And now we have a very divided country. We have a country that a political person uses weaponization against his political opponent. Never happened here. It happens in other countries, but they're third world countries. And in some ways, we're a third world country. We're
Oh
a
my
third world
God.
country at our borders, and we're a third world country at our elections. And we have to stop that. We need a fair and free press. The press has not been fair, nor has it been free, but maybe someday they will be.
Fucking
They're being
rat,
beaten up pretty
rat
badly.
fuck.
People aren't trusting them. They're not believing them. And really, it's a very important factor.
Bro.
The press used to be the policeman. It used to police our country. Now nobody has confidence in them, and we have to get that confidence back. It's so important for the success of our country. So important.
Fucking sniffing McAdderall, bro.
So this has been a day that we've
many
been waiting
flags.
for. I want to thank my family for being here. It's a great family. I have a great family.
Well, Venezuelan oil is pretty
They've had it
dirty.
very easy since I decided to
Yeah,
run
good.
for
And we
politics.
don't
They say,
fucking
thanks
like.
a lot,
Come
Dad.
on. Like Venezuelan oil. I mean, it is cheap, but like we're energy independent. We don't fucking
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
the fuck out of here with that shit, bro.
Appreciate it.
It's literally
But
OPEC
they're strong.
who controls the oil prices, not us.
People are dumb.
Yeah,
And they're-
we have the cartel on defense, not oil.
Yeah.
They love the country. They really do love the country, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
Republicans are literally
everybody-
defunding the federal police right now. It's so funny because they went after Trump, so now they're going to defund all the agencies.
Susie, Chris, incredible job. Incredible job you're doing. I read an article yes, because 3 years ago we were the most respected country anywhere in the world by far.
No, you weren't.
We would,
No.
he's going to cause wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars, and that's what happened.
That's why you drop more bombs than everyone before you. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped
And
wars.
remember,
No, you
like
didn't.
the only war that technically actually happened was Iraq.
Mm.
Afghanistan was like a special military operation or something. They officially declared it a war, but like those were wars. Those were invasions, and
Mhm.
he didn't do them. Congratulations!
Yeah,
wow,
wow.
you didn't
Crazy.
do a fucking invasion of a country.
Mm.
Accomplishment, bro. How many
Along with a
presidents
lot of
have actually invaded a country?
Probably not
like
many.
station troops to help a force there,
Mm,
which
yeah.
every president has done.
Mhm. I also want to point out that every time I've skipped he's telling a lie.
Countries, all of a sudden, North Korea.
If it happens again.
That, we never got credit for that. Unbelievable job. And we did a fantastic job on that. We know all over the world. It caused $60 trillion worth of damage and death. Wasn't, but I believe it was. And it came out, I believe, through incompetence. I believe it was incompetence. Some people, the Wuhan labs. And it came out, I believe, through incompetence. I believe it was incompetence. Some people think it wasn't, but I believe it was. But regardless, it caused $60 trillion
Sniffy
worth of
McAdderall, there
damage
you go.
and death all over the world. All over the world. And we did a fantastic job on that. We never got credit for that. Unbelievable job on that. We came up with things that nobody thought was possible. Don't forget when it
What do
came
I
in, nobody
Google
had
to
an idea.
find this Trump noise?
I have no idea. You're the one that knows what it sounds
I
like.
know. Maybe Jackie posted it.
They didn't even use the word pandemic. Nobody had an idea.
Oh my god.
But we did a fantastic
Oh my
job.
god, bro.
And we got a lot of credit for the
I'm done with this.
What a strange man.
Oh, look, good. A wrap
Joe
up.
Biden and former President Donald Trump are favored to win the contest in all 16 states in American Samoa, therefore clearing the way to win their respective party nominations. However, we're not expecting either to come out as a presumptive nominee tonight. Let's go ahead and get to some of this. Former President Donald Trump is looking at this. You can see this is a map of all the places, states, territories that will be having elections as some kind of contest today. Let's
Okay,
get to some
maybe I
results, though. I
posted
want
it.
to show you guys what's coming in so
Try
far.
me.
Trump has won Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama, Maine, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Colorado, and as
Is
I
this
walked into the
necessary?
studio,
Can we
found
just say
out
the ones
he's
he didn't
also,
win?
been projected to win Minnesota. Let's go ahead to Nikki Haley now. Haley has no states tonight
Nice.
that she's won the contest in for the primaries. However, she does have 43 delegates so far from previous wins, mainly DC. Now, President Joe Biden now, he's also obviously people are voting for him tonight. He's already won Iowa based off a different way that they voted this year. Tonight, he's won Vermont, Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama, Maine, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, Colorado, as well as Minnesota. Those are just the numbers that have come in so far as the polls
Minnesota.
close in all of those states. The next polls to close will be Utah at
Great.
7 p.m. our time. California's polls will close at
Great. Perfect. All right. We're done with Super Tuesday. Fucking hell. All right. It's over. We're done. Fucking American politics.
We need that Trump noise, though, bro. It's so
Ugh.
good. I don't know
Over.
where.
Done.
I imagine
Bro,
David
I do not
Pakman
understand
talks
it. It
about
like hurts my brain.
All right. Marker made. We're moving on. What's next? Next is
There's some local.
ceasefire.
There's some local stories in there.
Okay, got them.
There's a few. There's like 5 or 6 local
This
stories.
chilling video shows a moment a single-engine plane crashes along Interstate 40 in
Holy
Nashville.
shit.
From another angle, you can see the aircraft narrowly missing oncoming traffic Monday night. Moments before the fiery explosion, you hear the pilot alerting air traffic control that there's an emergency.
I'm going down.
Land at Johnson. My engine turned off. I'm at 1,600. I'm going to be landing.
It was an hour of Trump hallucinating. Dry mouth.
I'm too far away. I won't make it.
The NTSB confirming the catastrophic crash killed all 5 on board, 2
God
adults
damn.
and 3 children.
We don't even know their name. These are Canadian citizens.
Officials say the plane originated in Canada and made several stops.
I found it.
including
I
Erie,
found it.
Pennsylvania,
Okay.
And Mount Sterling.
I searched Trump glitch and got it. This is a good one. I mean, just create a marker already because we might want to
Already
pull
did.
this for a soundbite.
We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their oil production. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will reduce.
That's awesome. He gathered his shit though, but he did exactly what Biden does. He just gave up and sighed and then regathered his shit.
In Kentucky, where it left around 7:19 last night. The flight path shows the plane was set to arrive in Nashville around 7:43.
Passed over the airport at 2,500 feet. Proceeded to do an about face. He had an engine issue. He had a total loss of engine
happy
power.
he had a piece of paper in his
As
hand?
he lived through the crash scene and witnessed a tragic turn of
Very
events.
Oh my
as the
God,
plane
this is the
flew
guy we
directly
got to
off
talk
his
to
mouth.
who witnessed the
Looked
crash
up, we
scene,
saw the belly
really?
of the plane, and we heard an engine. I
Now tell
listened
me,
for about 2-3
is he a
seconds,
magician
and heard
or a
crash
dad
and
band?
explosion. I knew that it was not
Definitely a
possible
magician.
for anybody to survive.
With heavy
He's a
rain in the
mind
forecast,
freak.
investigators work quickly to
He's gonna
remove the
freak your
wreckage to
mind.
preserve any remaining evidence. A preliminary report is expected in 10 days. Lester?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Thanks for
breaking news.
He
and top
caused the
stories on
accident, was it? No, I know he didn't.
Suffolk police executed a search
This is so
warrant at
fucked.
this Railroad Avenue two-family home Monday night and were here through this morning.
It started as a raid. It was a SWAT team, and the whole road was blocked off.
This man who lives down the street didn't want his face shown, but the raid he saw was part of the investigation into the discovery of human remains in Babylon Village last week.
This block, people just like, you see people walking their children and walking their dogs. It's like a normal Long Island block.
Neighbor Chip Clark didn't see anyone arrested here, but sources familiar with the investigation say at least one person has been taken into custody. Investigators now suspect a love triangle resulted in the deaths of a man and woman whose body parts were found scattered in Southard's Pond Park.
My neighbor was a woman, so it was probably her boyfriend arrested.
This woman lives in the apartment right next to the one raided by police. Investigators found no remains in that home, but say body parts were found today in Bethpage State Park and in a wooded area in West Babylon. Those
This is a
remains
two-part
match
story,
those
by the
found
way.
last week. Police say the victims are a 59-year-old woman and a
Wait until you see what
53-year-old
the
man,
developments
both
are
from
after a
Yonkers.
day.
Yeah, it's intense. Definitely something to talk to my therapist about.
Let's go to the next.
Morning, 4 people are in custody and being questioned in a grisly case on Long Island. Investigators are trying to
4
determine
people.
how the body parts of a man and a woman ended up in several areas outside in recent days.
What
Eyewitness News
the fuck?
reporter Crystal Cranmore live in Amityville in Suffolk County with the very latest for
Amityville.
us. Crystal.
Good morning, Charlene. Well, police rounded up those 4 individuals from a home just a few houses behind me. And while police say they did not find any body parts inside that home, they did find some body parts at Bethpage State Park and in a wooded area in West Babylon. Take a look at some video. This is video of police searching a home here on Railroad Avenue in Amityville Monday night. This is before taking those 3 men and a woman into custody. Now, it didn't take long before police discovered the additional remains Tuesday morning. The West Babylon scene is about 3 miles from where the first remains were discovered last week in Southard's
Two different remain
Now, Suffolk
sites.
County police say they all belong to a 53-year-old man and a 59-year-old woman who at some point lived at the same address in Yonkers. Residents in West Babylon say they're on edge after the gruesome discoveries.
I'm surprised. I am surprised. And I'm afraid too.
Knowing that it was on my street, makes you inquire about like what could be a possible motive.
Love triangle.
And police are not yet identifying the victims until their family
Love
members have been
triangle.
notified. Meanwhile, those 4 people taken into custody, police have not yet filed any charges.
Right.
We would welcome people to come and have a good time.
Oh, God.
What we don't welcome is criminal activity. What we don't welcome is mayhem and people that want to wreak havoc on our communities.
Too many
Make no
flags.
mistake about it. If you're coming here in order to enjoy Florida, enjoy to have a good time, fine. If you're coming for these other reasons, if you're committing crimes, causing havoc, you are going to pay the price, and we will hold you accountable because that's what we do here. I know some people may be coming from other jurisdictions where they can get away with this type of activity. That is not going to fly in the
Yeah,
Sunshine
Miami,
State.
bro.
So
It's
we
Miami.
reached out to not
Are
just
you
Miami
kidding me?
Beach, but
It's a crime
communities
hub.
all across the
Yeah.
state and said, listen, rather than have it to where things get out of hand and then the state is asked to come in and provide
It's a city
support,
where
why not?
GTA actually has a whole game, and it's a canon city in the GTA universe. That's how crime ridden the city is. So we're gonna deploy the state troopers.
Just have a plan going in where you utilize state support. So a lot of the stuff doesn't even happen to begin with. And to the mayor's credit, he immediately leaped at that opportunity. But then so many
Bro,
other
His podium
around the
says
state
Law and
asked
Order
us
and has
to
a fucking
support.
gator
So
on it, bro.
FHP reached out to all these jurisdictions, and we now have a total
State
of 17
animal.
law enforcement agencies throughout the state of Florida.
I don't
that have
actually know if
requested
it
at
is
least
or not.
140 troopers to be deployed in their.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?